It is time.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time. It's time.
It is time.
It's the Money Show.
The Money Show.
The Money Show. The Money Show.
The Money Show.
Makodimandi Igbo. Let the conversation begin.
Igbo ndị ọma, bụ nọ na mba niile, ekene m unu. Welcome to the Money Show. Makodimandi Igbo. Afa m bụ Chuka. Anyị apụtasịa maka nketa. Ka anyị mee ka anyị si eme na nkata ụmụ Igbo maka ọganiru ka o wedịla anyị mma. Ndị Enugu na-asị deje, ndị Ebonyi na-asị chọọkwa, ndị Anambra na-asị nnọọ, ndị Igbo na-asị unu abịala, ndị Abịa na-asị anyị abịawo. Ndewono. Thank you for joining us and thank you for coming in early. I'm always excited to see the early birds here, the early comers here, because it's encouraging. It makes it easier and smoother for us to move. Yes, this is a continuation of the ongoing political series that we've been having for a few weeks now, and we're taking it to a different level today. And it promises to be really rich and constructive. I have a reason to believe that it will be practical as well. I greet you all once again. This is the Money Show, Makodimandi Igbo, a conversation for progressive Igbos, where we rub minds, share ideas, and find solutions to our challenges collectively. We're live streaming on Facebook at Kunye Media Official, and also on our channel on youtube.com/kunye-media. Priscilla, wonder why? Ndewo, ekime.
Adiboma nwanne m nwoke. Ndewo Chuka nwanne m.
Ana m anụ gị, ana m anụ ife na-ekwu. Pụtasịa.
Okay. Yeah, so I am here for another interesting day, another interesting conversation, another interesting set of interactions today. And if for the topic today, Igamarana, all the varying panalibu kind this particular topic because it's a very huge problem. It's a very huge problem in this country. Manai chokai how will I name n'obodo anyị ka ọ dịrị iche ka ọ dịrị mma. I will say emecha na-ele anya na obodo ndị ọzọ na-asị the quote ọdị na Nigeria and Google, we don't have to compare to the poor economic state. We don't have to, but we have to look for better examples.
Yes, so all the up to us, really.
Yes, all the up to us. And yes, as usual, I found with Priscilla for service culture Wadibo here, MONI show. Just this morning, Chuka, I don't know if you saw that video. It's School of Health, Nenugu. May attack that place. Oh, Afro and some Enugu accounts, and we even talked today. Mr. Alex talked about the dwindling state of educational system in Imo states that used to rank very high, and are things that credible leaders would talk about. And it's no longer a drive-by topic. In fact, I am particularly very invested in this topic. And Chuka,
yes, sir.
All the very important, with many credible people. If you are just joining us, welcome. Joining the conversation. Please don't forget to request for the mic. As soon as it's available, we'll let you in. If you cannot join the mic, let's say you are in a busy place, you cannot talk, please feel free to drop your comments in the comment section. I will read it, okay? Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Share the space. Let us start this topic. Thank you.
It's 10 minutes past 8 and we have just 2 hours, 40 minutes to go. I'm the creator of Makan. I bidoku now. Before I malifena go gagana guy. So Kaigani Rose. Our topic is a very, very important, critical, and vital issue. Now, Libo. Mana, I'm on my waiting you twice waiting here because we can easily say political, but I have forgotten this thing, what makes a society work and what makes a country work or what makes a nation or a region or a state work is beyond what the government does. Because leadership is not just about people who are elevated to the office, to the government office. There are also people who put those people in office. So, and we're different kinds of leadership, and we're positional leadership, and then we're influence, leadership by influence. So we have realized that all the impossible to have great leaders in positional office. If you don't have great leaders in the influential side of things, who can influence things, who can make sure that the right things are done, because that's how it works. That's how democracy works. There's always two parties, the leaders and the people, right? And because of that, it is easier for us to understand. Like somebody said, once you begin to look for leaders, just understand that you are becoming a leader. The fact that you are thinking about the importance of choosing good leaders, or finding, maybe you want to do something, you want to embark on a project, and you're like, we need to find the good leaders that can do this. We need to find the right person that can do that. Just the thinking alone, the initiative alone signifies and indicates that you have assumed responsibility. And that's what leadership is all about. Assumed responsibility. It's not about position only. It's about that assumption that it is up to me. It is up to me. I have to make sure that this works. That's what leadership is all about. So while we're talking about leadership here and enabling credible leaders, understand that you perhaps is one of the leaders that we're talking about. I could be one. I assume that I'm playing the role of a leader in my own capacity. Everybody has a role to play in their capacity as a leader. That is what will make it possible for us now to decide who becomes the leader that is elected by the people, who happens to also appoint other leaders who play different roles. Forget, this is how this works. Because democracy is not what people are used to in Africa. We're still coming. We haven't gotten there yet as Africans. Unfortunately, even after 64 years in Nigeria, we're still struggling with it because and one of the reasons why we haven't understood it completely is because many times our system, the democratic system, has been interrupted by the military system maybe 3 times over the last 64 years. Yeah. So but again. So now we're trying to retrace our steps, trying to find our bearing, because when that kind of disruption happens, I mean, it kicks you off balance, right? So that's one of the reasons why we're struggling to do democracy right, because to make democracy work, you have to empower the people. So where are we? So the question I now address about today, what makes a credible leader? We have to use the word credible because it's not just about being a leader. There are bad leaders, there are good leaders, there are corrupt leaders, there are fearful leaders, there are bold leaders, there are powerful leaders, and we're different kinds of leaders. But they find our job on the game, why find our job as Igbo. Now, the question is, what are we looking for as Igbo? They find our job. I believe that we all want the same thing. I like to say this all the time because I believe it. We all want the same thing. Somehow, we just want a society where things work. Things work like where we have been to other places. A society where people have the opportunity to become whatever that is legit that they want to become without unnecessary limitations here and there put in place by human beings like you and I. A society where people feel like they are valued, where life also is valued. Why financial? Regardless of people who want to make billions of naira or millions of dollars or whatever you want to achieve, regardless of all those things, we're just looking for a place where things work, and a place where people feel safe, and a place where people can have the basic things of life without crying about it, without having to protest about it. Financial. And for us to achieve that, we have to find the kind of people who understand how things work. The kind of people who understand how to lead also. Is one thing to be a manager, it's another thing to be a leader. And a governor is both. A governor is supposed to be both, supposed to be a good resource manager and also a good leader of the people, because he's supposed to be all communicating all the time, responding all the time, held accountable, and always respond when he's held accountable. On the other hand, he's supposed to be able to manage his team and the resources within his grasp. So we're looking for who a credible leader is. I have a few ideas. Maybe I shouldn't start with that. A leader cannot control the conversation. So I would like you to come in, join us on this conversation. Give us your thoughts. How would you describe a credible leader? I be from there. I can get from there to how do we find these credible leaders? And then the third step will now be how do we elevate them to the place of governance so they can give us good governance? And the last one, Gabo, is how do we hold them accountable to make sure they do the things they promised? First one, how do you describe a good leader? 2, how do we find these people? 3, how do we elevate them? 4, how do we hold them accountable to ensure they do their job? So can I do from the first one? Before we go on, here are ground rules, like as always. When you come in, please keep your mic mute or muted, so that you don't interrupt what we're doing if any noise around you goes loud. Second thing, please go straight to the point. Third, stick to the conversation. 4, respect yourself and respect the audience. 5, and finally, avoid a noisy environment so that it might be a hindrance to what we're doing. Rather, you want to be a contributor to our conversation and not a hindrance. So if you want to join this conversation, please grab the mic and talk to me, talk to us, engage us. Let's hear from you. Let's talk.
All right.
Priscilla.
You've actually said a lot of important things. And, like I said earlier, credible leadership is something I'm extremely passionate about. And you know that about me, right? I'm even part of, I joined the Boca School of Government, current ongoing leadership about politics and governance. I'm enjoying the conversations. Today is the 5th day, I think. And I think I've even extended the invitation to Chima. I don't know if you know Chima Christian.
Yes, I know him. The one that was talking about some things about tech in 2022. Yeah.
It was talking about, I think he was pushing the census conversation.
Yeah. Exactly.
BAS and the INEC registration process and everything. So he is also the one anchoring this particular section. It's interesting. You should attend one. It's been amazing for the past 4 days. I've sent him an invitation to come talk about these things because I think he talked about it in class yesterday. But what am I saying here? I remember that sometime in April, I even had to go look for that article on World Economic Forum, I think in conjunction with Forbes. We're talking about ways to activate responsible leadership in uncertain times. So it's not just in Nigeria, more Alibo, that the need or that drive to get responsible leadership is needed. It's a worldwide, requirement. It's a worldwide concern. Everybody's looking for, responsible leadership. I mean, we've seen how irresponsible leadership have, led the world to wars, case in point, especially World War II. So we've had concerns about, that. And again, everybody wants a responsible leader because responsible leadership makes it easier for, responsible followership to be active without it looking all combative, or stressful like we currently have in Nigeria right now. Okay. It's just seeming like that. But I think maybe during the course of the conversation, I'd like to touch a little bit on, some approaches that have been put out there by the World Economic Forum, and would love to hear from other people here, both those that we've invited and those that are currently here. Want to hear from them how, ideas and if they want to be emerging as credible leaders. But one thing I can say for certain is that all is from walk that you start, it's from crawling you start walking. You see, if you're not a responsible follower, the chances of you becoming a responsible leader is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. You don't just fly to credible leadership. You have to understand followership, okay? And I think that as Igbo, as Igbo now, we have to begin to look at ways to be much more responsible as followers so that when you become responsible leaders, when you have become a leader, it's easier for you to become a responsible one, because you have already trained yourself, to be a responsible leader, even in the face of lax institutions, almost zero accountability requirements and all that. When you are in a third world country, you have to be intentional with being a responsible leader. You would agree with me, right, Chuka? Because we don't have systems accountable.
Absolutely.
Not just fly from toddler to primary one, or from toddler to secondary school. You have to go through, the process. And I think that us being here right now, we have to acknowledge the fact that we still have work to do. Before you say you want to come and lead the community, have you done anything that nobody was paying you for? Have you volunteered? Do you even notice what's going on in your community? Are you concerned about the school education in your area? Are you concerned about the healthcare facility? Do you let things just slide? Are you intentional about the bigger picture that does not you and your family? These are it, not just as individuals, because again, we need to begin to grow back. We need to take back responsibility, not be all those followers that will sit back and say it's the government that has to do it, and frustrate every other follower's actions, through bad mouthing or discouragement, or trying to act objective. I begin to think now that most people that claim they're objective, they're just masking their fears and being very uncooperative. Because any small thing, I know what I'm saying. I'm being objective here. Meanwhile, nelu dirty. Mosquito that boleg no logi, but you could forget, see, it's government that's supposed to do this. I know what I'm saying. It's government that's supposed to do this. What are you doing as a citizen? I know that yes, we don't have very great leadership, but what are you doing as a citizen? If you don't know how to take charge as a follower, I promise you, you cannot be a responsible leader. You can be a leader, all right, but the chances of you being a responsible leader is as high as a camel going through the eye of a needle. And at this juncture, I think we might need to start encouraging people to join in these conversations. Request for the mic, would like to hear from you, would like to know what you're saying. The reason I'm just English star because I chunk my Igbo stop my flow.
Actually, I mean, we will grow to the point where we can have these conversations with Igbo a lot. I intend it all together. Our language also is growing. I believe that by the grace of God and by collective effort, the time will come when we can have very technical conversations and say very technical things without speaking English. It's possible, but we have to expand our language to be able to accommodate all of that. As the world is evolving, as people are advancing, as technology is advancing, we have to be able to grow our language to be able to accommodate conversations around those things. So new words have to be created. New terminologies have to be created. We need to come to a point where we have an Igbo dictionary that is updated maybe every year or every 6 months. And I add new words to it, just the same way they do with English, so that we can have very robust conversations in our language without needing to use English. Mana, till then, kind of make I see me. So if you're here and you would like to join the conversation, please request a mic. And bear in mind that we don't discriminate. You can speak English, you can speak Igbo. If you don't know how to speak Igbo very well, you can stick to English, no problem. Like Igbo, because even if you don't know how to speak any of them very well, in case you can speak Pidgin English, I know what I can count. The most important thing is that we hear each other and we are communicating, and that you are making sense. I'm making sense to you. You're making sense to me.
And yes, this conversation, I know. When you see, people are always coming here to talk. Biko, Mr. Objective, no one corner. Mr. Kachama.
If I may add to that, I think that everything that is a change or is a change move or some kind of makes a difference. And we're within them that you won't have conversations. Or not possible.
I think people avoid conversations because they don't want to have conversations. People think conversations are easy because a lot of us, or some of us, have trained ourselves to learn how to have those conversations. I promise you, a lot of things that are going on in this country right now, if conversations, real conversations,
Honest. Yes.
we'll do conversation achịkọta onwe ha ekpe opening prayer tụghachi from the beginning of that conversation to the end ekwuchara atụchachi like this abịa end that conversation with prayer. At the end of the day, nothing truly substantive is being done, because people really don't like the only kind of conversations and I like anyị ga-aṅụ mmiri onye ọbụla ekwuo yes anyị ga-aṅụ mmiri, then I quote the next I say I get with the ngaji, yes I get with the those kind of oh yes member kind of conversations
Sure.
should be inclusive. You should be willing to hear the other person, and you as a part of that conversation, your responsibility again as a responsible person is to ensure that various angles are heard and you say how you feel irrespective of how or who's with God. And being as we are Nigerians, I think a lot of times we are either extremely combative or we are extremely reserved. We are usually at the extreme. We know how to, be comfortable with by having the other person. So would love to have those. We'll get comfortable, we'll get there. But what is not going to happen here is all those Mr. Objective that would like to keep everybody in one corner and think they know everything all. I'm sorry, you might have to look for somewhere else. Today is going to be constructive.
Because wherever you're there, what I believe is that we have been able to set a tone. We have been able to set the tone on the morning show. We have done it intentionally, and it's working. We've been able to set the tone regarding the way we have our conversations. One, we are civil. Two, we respect time. We respect people's opinion. Of course, when intelligent people come around, there will be divergent opinions. Sometimes there will be conflicting opinions as well. And what makes it beautiful is that we're able to arrive somewhere, whether we agree or not, arrive somewhere where we find things that where we have common beliefs or common understanding or common goals or common objectives. All for the important, because the more we have these conversations, the more we see that we want the same things actually. And I think that one of the things that makes these conversations even more fruitful and effective is when we are honest. One of the reasons why Oja are in discussions that lead to positive change in Nigeria amongst Indiana leaders is because a more sincerity. People come to just drive all kinds of ideas, lie in your face, defend them or gaslighting. Like now pretend kafar for Ezioku. Sometimes we even formulate misinformation just to confuse everybody to make sure that this doesn't happen. But as long as we ourselves as Igbo are able to hold this talk objectively and always find something, a takeaway from it, and then look for an avenue to be able to execute these ideas in a structured manner, we will definitely get somewhere. Definitely. And that's what this conversation is about. So Ntagade constructive, and we expect you to bring beautiful, beautiful ideas on how we can, like I said before, we need to know how to identify credible leaders. Secondly, we need to know how to elevate them. Third, we need to know how to hold them accountable. So the first one, I'm asking everybody here, what is your description of a credible leader? What does it mean to you? What are the values? What are the principles that to you indicates someone is credible to lead in the place of a governor, a senator, a state or federal House of Assembly member, or even appointed positions like minister or commissioner? That's the question we're asking, and from there you move, Ogaba. So grab the mic, request the mic, grab the mic, and join us. Let's talk. Kaiganiru. Daniel, my brother. Kere Feiche Maka, credible leaders are in our now. First of all, to you, who's a credible leader? What do you find in a credible leader that makes you think, okay, when you get we fight job?
Chuka, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes,
so I need to because boy and can care. I get 5 minutes.
All right, no problem. Priscilla, good evening.
Yeah.
No
Good
negative.
evening.
Good evening. Yeah, I'm a credible leader. A leader is it's a global term. Onye ndu, I have a credible leader. Onye ga-edu ego ọfụma. Ọ nwere mgbe anyị ji wee sị onye ọchịchị leader bụ onye ndu. Yeah. Ị mana ihe dịzị kịta bụ na ife niile ga-arịpụ. I will still go back and say what I've always said before. We lost our value system. I am a large wedding gas na ya whereas credible leaders. Mana nke bụ eziokwu bụ na credible leaders anyị na-achọ nọkwa n'etiti anyị. Mana the problem bụ mgbe oge ga-elu ka arapụrụ for ọchịchị ma okenye for ọchịchị anyị ga-emekwa ihe dị na ya. That is my concern. Ije n'obodo niile dị n'ala Igbo tata enwere ndị nọ as leaders. Even though na ejiro political position, ha na-agba mbọ ime sure na obodo na-aga n'iru. Ị ga-afụ those people as either a priest, reverend fathers, pastors, ma ndị ofu onye igwe ma ọ bụkwa na onye nze na ọzọ ma ọ bụ n'owu. Sometimes kwa na ọbụlụ just town hall president. Oge ụfọdụ kwa na ọ bụ na family ma ọ na ihe anyị na-akpọ ụmụnna ma ọ na ụmụada. One person emerges as a leader. Onye a welu ọnọdụ a o mee ife o kwesịrị ime. One, imeki sure na udo dị. Na ife na-aga nke ọma, ife kwesịrị ime na-emeli ya. Ihe ndị a niile bụ characteristics of a leader. Mana problem anyị na-enwezi kịta bụ na oge lụzie na political position. Ya bụ ebe a na-akwụ ụgwọ maka onye kwesịrị idozi obodo nwa. Anyị yarapụ ndị a niile gbakute ha azụ. Chọba onye ga-enye anyị ego. Chọba onye anyị na ya dị na mma ka we can nwee selfish benefit gbago immediate gain. So ihe ndị a niile bụ our problem. That is just the angle I want to come from today. Ị na-anya kịta na social media na Igbo, in the Igbo political space or Igbo space here on X. Ndị mmadụ ịgwa gị ndị bụ leaders. Enwe ndị na-afụta as leaders. Ndị na-ekwu ife ekwesịrị ikwu, ndị na-agbazinye ụzọ ka ife ga-esi wee dị mma. Ndị na-ejekwa na-eje imeki sure na ife na-aga n'iru. Ndị na-ekwu eziokwu. Irrespective ma ọ bụ na nwanne ha dị involved ma ọ dịrị involved. Ndị na-asọpọt imeki sure na ihe anyị na-eme na be anyị dị mma. We are seeing them. Cecilia could mention somebody n'abalị a, Chima Christian ji ihe gbasara political advocacy obu ya n'isi. Ọrụ ya bụ ikuziri ndị mmadụ ife anyị kwesịrị ime ka anyị nwee ike wee hold our political leaders accountable. Make sure na ha were ha. He is a leader. Ọkwa Anambra na ha na-achọ organize local government election kịta. Ụfọdụ onye n'ime anyị na-afụta Chima Christian na somebody anyị nwee ike isi bịa ka anyị kwado ya. Ọ bụ local government chairman ka ọ dịbụ. Ma ọ ya jee State House of Assembly. This is also applicable to other people here on these spaces. So problem I bụ when we say enabling the emergence of credible leaders, but first and foremost, we must learn how to do things the right way. We must learn to keep our personal interest, drop godi n'akụkụ. Ka anyị sobe ndị m ụzọ. Anyị mesịna maka na onye nke a bụ nwanne anyị. Therefore, automatically, na onye a ga-abụ onye isi oche. Si ebe a ka anyị ncha anyị na-esi wee na-eri mperi na be anyị tata. Onye problem anyị nwere. We lost our value system. And the day we realize it and start doing things right, we'll get it right. Ka m kwụsị ebe a, daalụ.
Daalụ nne.
Thank you very much, my brother. Very, very succinct and very precise. I like the way you did it. Just keep to your mic. We'll come back to you as we are broadening this conversation. I don't want them. Okay, we mask where we are about today. Adora. Keep we mask where we are about today. I hear your voice. Yes.
Hey, my people, let's go quiet. Morning. I'm my dad. Say monsa. So monsa. It's a trick, a bookie.
Need to get into Canada. I bet going on when you come on and because I've been in New Zealand.
Abi, I should have been in New Zealand, and it's just slightly past 12 a.m. 12 p.m. So each time can have in the morning. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, every single person. Topic no big joy, and you're very pertinent at this point na Igbo, right? Especially in politics signing. So I'm happy to be part of it. Daniel, you could know very, very, very succinct. I completely agree. And as the discussion proceeds, I would love to come in anywhere no okay media. So let's take it away.
Yeah, so I like the introduction. So let's take it from there. Please come and give us your idea. Can you be there, Bowen? We actually the main target here when good governance, right? So we could have put this title differently by saying enabling the emergence of credible political leaders. But the truth is that leader is a political leader. So let's find the leaders first. But the idea is that we're looking for people who can actually deliver good governance in Igbo, right? And we are also looking for people who can play the role of leading the people, to hold those people accountable, to hold those other leaders accountable. And most importantly, the people who can play the roles of helping to galvanize the people so that we can do the work that will elevate these identified leaders into office, right? So I know one, what are the qualities? What are the values? How do we identify them? They exist. If we to Peter Obino, if we to Alex Otino, and we're at least 100 of them. At least 100. So, how do you recognize these leaders? What makes a credible leader to you? Or is it that the person is very successful? Or is it someone who is very rich? Or is it someone who is or is it someone who looks very handsome or very beautiful? Or is it someone who comes from your place? Or is it someone who speaks very beautiful English? Or is it someone who drives nice cars and dresses very well? Or is it someone what exactly are you looking for? What exactly do you believe? Therefore, a good leader, a credible leader that can deliver good governance to you. Join us on this conversation. Let's talk. Request the mic. I'm gonna give you. Okay, can I get to Chris Asika? One name. There will.
Come to Makini, especially this space. All right. Who can demand news of my major in media? All right. Even though I'm not 5 hours behind, but my weekend I news if I don't listen to media, right? And luckily today, enjoying nobody because usually.
Chris.
Yes.
One name Chris.
Yeah.
Because when I wear background here, Rika. On where key is okay,
just
he wait not here because I don't know to go from when I record if I know my name.
I'm using my hands free. Okay, what I used to can disconnect it from my hands free. So okay. Someone else can go along. I'll speak later.
All right. But I can anugo. I can do. Dalo.
Okay. Yeah. I Muna Chuka na sometimes, and the one of the things I like in him, but he wants to advance the cause of Igbo. I was opportune to meet Nai Ojukwu, and when something he said one day that touched me a lot. Osna Niana ego mmili Niana alumutia Nia use brego Nia use ego because no go bra nya buna na garo mutia maybe we ga fonye ga kwose no blia buna monyo onye ozo ebulu mota ajelo mota buna talia motia mmili buna bia betelia mmili onwere ihe na ego. So and when we look at his life, when he started, his history, he went to Oxford, came back. He was supposed to appear chokoga a district office, all with a district officer. Osana Mikiaga Banya, Sieba Banya say recruit. Then he was discovered by an officer, and then he promoted to officer. Anyway, so in the equipment, I need, like one of the things I like about people now, somebody with a simple life. If you have those people with a simple life, they don't need much in life. The person had the whole pushed by things. A lot of people. A lot of people one man people probably know about him. I lose so many things in Okija. Manongwe, somebody some people are looking for base because I need for their name to be praised or for people to, because they want to show they can do it. But don't people in an Igbo that they do things when you know more about them. One man in my town was in government service. Government service, he was sacked because on your choice take a bribe. When the military were in power. So, but he wasn't celebrated because he was just wanted to be a good person. So, onye I gana cho somebody I manongwe obronyo kochicho obonye choke praise ya obonye choka ananu affair. Some people who have interest of Igbo, like just like I said about Ojukwu, like people their lifestyle, but I want to help. So that Obugonogodi, like some of us, in our service, when we have met people in Igbo, they help people maybe in the area of technology, they have bottle market train or nobody hears about them. Those things they don't want to be heard, but Hachoka Hameya, one of them, why do you do this? Also, I believe to these people. That these people, he will inculcate into them, the mindset to do it for other people. Just like we do it, to each other. We expand, our influence, expand their mind. We don't just take make noise, man. Our influence expand, but we're gonna expand also. That I believe one day upon the retire naketa no maka some of those who maka gabani netia, maybe send the ego, maybe send the ticket in. So that's the kind of people we're going to be looking for, people with that kind of mindset. They want to invest in other people, help other people grow. The mindset when we had Igbo Union, it's not about you, it's about our people, as a race, for our people to grow, it's here people here, it's here people here. Any area, we want to make sure they bring in one nigga. I have a friend, he works in the government in the US, technologist. I got about 5 of them, Igbo. So things like nobody knows about, nobody hears about it. More just because I'm only a friend, if you want to, so things like that, mama, out there and I'm affair. We saw a lot of people, in the background. I am offer, maybe one person or two, more. So those are the people we are looking for. I actually get a member too. Dalon.
I didn't even see this coming, and this is so beautiful. The true leaders don't make noise, really. They just do work. They just do the work. They get things done. And when they cannot talk, some people want to be seen working, and when most of the times those kind of people are not doing anything really. They just put out PR. I find out where and then PR branding or they come away from them, but what if them? But I didn't all really. They don't even have enough time to be talking too much or to be shouting about what they are doing or be shouting about what people to should see. They focus on what they need to do and just get things done. Let's keep it moving. Chris, are you ready to speak now? Adora, okay.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it sounds better now.
All right. Okay, so I'm ekele gị maka ihe na-eme gbasara ndị Igbo, especially for these honest conversations signing every weekend. And on my weekend I need is of na megero Kune media. People don't know, like 5 hours. I always look forward to listening to Kune media. All right. And believe nkwetara na ihe ọbụla mmadụ na-eme begins with okwu. Okay, Chineke kere ụwa maka o kwuru okwu si ka ihe dị. Ịna-aghọta? There's no onwere nkwalite obodo na-enwe isi ebe ọbụla n'ụwa naanị ebido from okwu ọnụ. Ndị mmadụ ga-agbakọlata kwuo okwu si lekwa nke anyị chọrọ, lekwa nke anyị na-achọrọ. Otu obodo si ahụ ihe. Now, anyị na-ekwu okwu maka ndị ndu taa. Ole onye bụ onye ndu, ole otu anyị ga-esi ama ndị bụ ndị ndu. Mụ onye believer na ekwetara m na Christ, nna, nwa na ọkpara. And ihe niile m ga-ekwu ga-esite na akwụkwọ nsọ. Jesus Christ bụ onye nwanyị kwuru okwu si enwere ihe dị iche site n'onye bụ ezigbo onye ụzọ atụrụ na onye bụ onye ohi. Ị na-aghọta? N'ala Igbo ọkwa ya na o nwere ndị na-asị na ọfọ ka nsị. Anyị lekwana ya na ala Igbo, ebe ọbụla mmadụ nọ, ọ rakwa na ahụ ịma onye ga-abụ ezigbo onye ndu. Most of the times anyị na-adịkarị carried away with ephemeral things. Nke a ga-enyekwa anyị ka anyị rie, nke a ga-enyekwa anyị ga-etinye n'akpa. Kedu ihe ọ ga-emere ezinụlọ m, kedu ihe ọ ga-emere m. Anyị ma ndị bụ ndị ndu, ndị bụ ndị ezigbo ndị ndu. Nke izizi ị ga-ahụ onye na-akwụba aka ya ọtọ. Otu isi amara onye bụ ezigbo onye ndu, onye bụ potential onye ndu. Onye na-akwụba aka ya ọtọ, onye na-atụ asị, onye na-eme ihe ọjọọ megide agbata obi ya, onye na-ezu ori. Anyị niile ga Mars or Pluto or Jupiter gasị ka marakwa olekwa nke bụ the right definition of onye bụ onye ndu. Anyị need the Pythagoras theorem ịma onye bụ onye ezigbo onye ndu. Amongst us, anyị ma that man, nwaanyị ahụ, nwoke a na-ezu ori, nke ọ bụla ekwugbo okwu n'obodo asị kpọọ this person, ihe ọ bụla okwuru onye bụ eziokwu. Anyị ma dosupu ha na-ezu ori, ha na-atụ asị. They don't bear false witness. Ha na-adị honda, ha na-akwụba aka ha ọtọ. Those ihe ahụ definition of leaders. Kedu otu anyị ga-esi kwado ha? Otu anyị ga-esi kwado leaders bụ ka anyị wepụ anya n'ihe anyị ga-eri kịta. Ihe a ga-eri na mepium racha ọnụ immediately, onye ọbụla dị happy. Anyị suppose ịbụ ndị na-ele anya na ọganiru, ọ bụ ọsọ maka taa. Ị na-aghọta? Because anyị rọpụta n'etiti anyị onye ga-abụ ezigbo onye ndu. Ihe ọ ga-eme wụ ihe ga-abara anyị uru echi, taa na echi. Ọ bụ ihe a ga-abara anyị uru sọnsọ taa. So otu anyị ga-esikwa na-akwado ezigbo onye ndu n'ala Igbo. I need to teach again our values, our customs, to transmit them to the new generation. Carry those values that Ndi Igbo stands for. Values of entrepreneurship, values of honesty, values of equal, values of iwepanya ego, values of iwepanya quick gratification. I be don't accuse those values to the newer generation. Gradually, again, every development in every society will start from conversations. Okuono. The moment I Gebido, he rehearse, he kuzikwa those values again. With time, the values of Ndi Igbo and me, the entire world, will be corrected. Dalun.
Daalụ nwanne m. Daalụ nwanne. Okwu ga-amaka. Adora, gaa n'iru. Iwenile aka enu. Gaa n'iru.
Yes, please. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chuka. I like him, no cool, Chris. Even though na environment to give you a dick the noise, I think I'm more but I'm going to quiet office. So,
Gị na your council.
yeah, my Chris, you could be very, very, very correct because, of course, following here, right? Because I feel like my first quality na they look out ma abia ikuboku leadership bo a servant leadership, right? Onye ọbụla kpọọ onwe a leader. Ikwesị ibu ụzọ nwegodi an innate attitude or behavior or hunger to be a servant first. Realize ya na leadership gị ahụ na lead. Nwe ka yesi nwu lead ndị mmadụ ọbụna ewotara dynamics otu esi echedo ha. Otu esi echekwado ha is like a shepherd, for example. Even though not the shepherd na lead the atolo, gotago kpoje ha ebe ha yeli nni. Remember when that same shepherd bụ onye na akpọta atolo a fichasia ya arụ. You know? Nke dị dirty no fichasia arụ nke agụ na ekwere eji aka yeli nni. Okpota atụ a jiri aka ya feed ye. Gotago ọ na-take care of the atolo at the same time na-lead kwa. So, I feel a lot of times about leadership na otaro servitude. So, I make a mistake. Go try to choose leader sign at the Bible, maybe because of Diego Hamwelo, or because of posture ha, or because of Ogo to Ogonogo, or Mamwiru, or something. They look out for and make it all the sense. Me kubia or buru na iya sini ya qualities of a leadership. They are secondary things here. It's just like no wine kita. Or no okay, but na na ụmụ on cause. Forgetting near dimba bo ionya bu on the inside. Can we go to Peter Obi me example kita? A lot of people nature anya. I say okay nka. Magonu mandi jicha kocha ya onu no voice ya the no ka voice wine. Na ko elie na enwere isi. Forgetting na nwoke na fukita. Bono na tionyo ya serve first of all. Ihe na afia mannerisms ya ifilu na ha nwoke nka ade me ka nwike. Anyị se nwike fegedi. Ataga so na nwoke nka ade me ka James Bond or actor ade me ka actor.
Onwero swag. Asị na onwero swag.
Exactly. Otaga Odo swag ka ya ata. Onye na-enwe swag o enwezikwa efe ficha garụ. Enwezikwa efe serve oge. Enwezikwa efe nekwado obodo anya. Onye nwe efe ya nụnụ. Time ya niile digodi.
Ọ ga na-ebu ụmụ nwa.
Time ya niile digodi invested in maintain that swag ya. So, you can do like Chan no to ebe Chris na Kenneth Webia. A leader. Abụrụ onye na-achọ ka akpọọ ya afa ka etuo ya afa ka asịkwa na arrive go ka amalụ na ọnya na-eme. That's not a leader. And most times unofo ndị a na-akpọ onwe ha leader a na-akpọ afa ha up and down. Icheck here. If na the people na control here actually ade emede mkpọtụ. Ndị anwa bụ ndị na-lead nyanwa. Yotago because I'm so many times the common man here na there na for material things, aesthetics na make it sense. So as ndị Igbo kita ka esi bido nepụtaba anya for credible leaders. Ka esi identify ya ha onya bụ ya na akpa today. And for me, the best way identify a credible leader Number one, we associate go the onyanwa with servitude, the spirit of servitude. Imago onye yeze. You almost feel like ni eje yotonya si abiko bia chekwado ha bia lead India. Because most times father like kebi tinye onwe ha n'iru. You know, credible leadership bụ onye check go mannerisms here, behavior ya over time. Even though no odiro ịma nwekwa ndị na-adịrọ ka ihe mekwu materially successful, for example. But in a success, it's something you can quantify, even though in that ego edu everywhere. In a fine and integrity. We can build a school teacher, for example. In if on a teach in a school, if you know or teach gondi go into the world, bulletin millionaires and all that. And every time those people now attribute to their successes in whatever area of their life to otumokas where we put the time where kuzielu for something that thing okuzi ha. In every time ezigbo afọ onye anwa na aka ego onwe a leader ezigbo tafa na akalile ego. So na-ekwu na anya needri i-check qualify a leader based on financial success, yeah. What I mean, abro na ye jachota maybe shoemaker or onye na Maria naza creating wealth before. No, because na actually humble. No, I had a humble beginning. If we a man no be successful, na ejire ego, but all the successful in life, ye na anya if na ndi ana adeba
self-sufficient.
Yeah, exactly. And this self-sufficient, and that's their self-sufficiency. Na for confident nwa. Ina anya fu na odro humble as no ma. Oburo onye ya say work at the too humble no. Otago. Odro obia put ya be delegi humble or anything. Odwaga no confident no nwe. So ona agwagi with the most sense of respect oh, but he shift nwe from here oneku. Ye move away from his integrity and beliefs and core values as a human being. What I go? So while he has respect and humility, all the equally confident in himself. These are the qualities in feel but I need look out for, especially as in Igbo, because anya toka ndem I to get the model to be alpha. So as in Igbo, we need to honestly, if we're going to look out for credible leaders in our Igbo especially, we need to look out for ndi. Number one, where that spirit of servitude. Number two, this successful in their ways, their success based on their principles, you know what? And that one of those principles, Gaboli integrity. Not go. And then going on from there, and you other secondary qualities, ketas. But I feel that with the first thing, the core values I need to inculcate in the bank. Okay, now qualify a leader by Okbolos to go Yotago Balaba or the Mamwir or Diego. So thank you very much, Kunye Media, for the time.
We have a custom here. Whenever you're coming on this show, just go to the share button and just press share via posts. After that, invite via DM. Just try and share the space. Let enough people come in and listen to what you're listening to. The more people listen to this, the more impact we can make. Presently, we are also live streaming on YouTube and I believe on Facebook, on our YouTube channel, YouTube/Kunye-Media, and also on Facebook, Kunye Media Official. We can reach more people with what we're doing. Like I said initially, on this conversation, I've heard people speak in Igbo here a lot. So, just now, you just came in and you're wondering what's going on here. Is this a village meeting? Everybody's speaking Igbo and I can't speak Igbo. Fret not. Relax. Come and speak in your own way. Obolo Igbo ke speak in English. Obolo Igbo ke speak Igbo. Obolo kwa ne masu Igbo. That the one you say some things, just the way Adora speaks. Sometimes you say some things in English and then you finish it with Igbo. We also receive that. If that one is even not even working for you, we can also speak Pidgin English. The most important thing is that we're communicating. So if you want to join this conversation, request the mic quickly. So we bring you in and then we engage you and we have a good conversation. We don't want to wait until it's 10 p.m. before we now start rushing people, like where people are entering big buses that are township bus. That's the idea of starting early. We are going to move this conversation to a different level now. We have identified to an extent. You can still start with that when you come in. We have identified what actually describes a credible leader to you, to us. We have to get to the point where we're looking at how do we find these people? Because one of the conundrums we have is that we're always complaining that during the election, people don't go out to vote, right? We discussed it on one of our episodes. I think it was the 15th episode, Voter Apathy. People don't go out to vote. People don't go out to grab their cards, their voters' card. Even if once they face any kind of resistance, they go home, right? When they want to go out to go and vote, once they hear that there is some kind of on the police, they just stay at home because they don't realize that we're fighting for our lives with our votes. So that also creates a problem because the people who we expect to step into the ring and vie for these positions, people we find credible, people we find, just like somebody said here, they don't like attention. They are not interested in being praised. They just want to do their thing. Those kind of people are not in a hurry. They're not desperate to grab power. They're not desperate to be in positional leadership. They're not. So when it looks like they're not. So it makes it even a little more difficult to find them because they are not the popular ones. They're not the Watana and I don't want to call people's names, but they are the 12 and they everywhere. No, chief doctor, professor, no. If you know much about him, you don't even know he has a PhD, even though he does. If you're saying I'm Mr. So and so, how do we find these people, or how do we create the enabling environment to be able to attract them? Because we might have to attract them. Remember, Peter Obi didn't want to run for governorship. He wasn't interested in politics. It was people like you and I, much older ones anyway, who are leaders by influence, who are from Anambra State, who saw the need to find the kind of person we're discussing now and put that person in the position. It was those people that came together and said, you know what, let's find somebody. Until they were making recommendations until they got to Peter Obi. He said, over my dead body. That's the kind of people we're looking for. People that will say no, even though they have the capacity and the wherewithal. So how do we find those people, or how do we attract those people to what we're doing? So that when we have the machinery, when we have the infrastructure or the framework that can bring massive support behind this kind of person and push the person until they get into that position via the election. How do we find these people? Now. Plato, are you there? Okay, looks like he's still engaged. Maybe he's trying to settle a customer. All right, Jimmy Ganiru.
Okay, biko dalono. Good evening, onye ọbụla. Mana anyị ekwugo a lot gbasara ife the leader ga-enwe. Mana enwe ife anyị na-ekwube. Anyị ekwube ife ndị anyị na-ama chọọ ka fa na-banye into leadership. So abịa na constitution, enwe ife a na-ekwu qualifications of somebody to be elected. Mana m na-ekwuru ana na-abanye into law ebe a ka nkamalụ. So abịa asị qualifications, abịa na the other section, I see disqualifications. If ọ ya bụ mmadụ mee ọya dị empowered, ịzọ ọkwa dịka gọvanọ, asị maybe onye bụ a convict, na-erube 10 years after being convicted, and so many of those requirements. So ka anyị kwugodi kedu ife ọ ya bụ aịfụ ụdị ihe ọ ya bụ anyị ga na-asọlụ dịka in our leadership. Mụnwa ya asị na abịa na nke anwa anyị n'anya kedu onye na-abụrụ ndị anyị ga-eme sure na onye anyị na-etinye ọ ga-abụ somebody na-abụrụ a sellout. ọma mbụ sell out ọ ya bụ onye ya pụta lee ndị nke ya ọ bụrụ na anọrọ ebe a na-ekwu okwu gbasara ife ndị Igbo because gọvanọs anyị na-ejekwanụ council of state meeting na-agakwa economic council meeting mana even ministers ndị si n'ala Igbo mana ife na-anụ dịka from ndị nọgasị n'ọgwụ bụ na ekwuba maka projekti ndị ọzọ na-azụtalụ ndị befa ndị be anyị anọlụ ụfọdụ n'ime fa anọlụ fa ya azụtalụ ndị nke fa even sef ụfọdụ na-abụ eke ego ekere a na-ego ahụ a na-eke ihe echefuzie afa nna fa sizie ka ife gaba o nwere ka nye unu example enwere projekti former speaker Nigeria bolu projekti kwesịrị ịnọ na one polytechnic na Anambra State o bulu that project bịa lụọ na Lagos ọ bịa lụọ that project na Lagos kedu ife our representatives na House of Reps kwuru o nwere onye kwuru okwu that project cannot today with big billboards saying no project ekwesi abudgeted for school nọ na South East na Anambra State and the school enwero one meter of third road mana eji budget that school na arụ project na Lagos nwejuru third road ọ bụrụ anywhere nọ na Surulere then enwekwa second project ekwesi ịrụ na UNTA je Enugu eburu ya bịa na arụ na Lagos and ife abụ because na onye nke ọzọ because ị ata ya mana ị atagbu ya because ọ na-achọ ka ọ zọtalụ ndị befe ife mana ndị nke anyị ọ gbasara ofife na-eme gbasara ndị befa enwere onye nke ọzọ ebia gosi project ofu onye lụrụ na somewhere about computers IT center ọ lụrụ somewhere in the I think na west ebe a you understand massive structure egosi nke onye be anyị lụrụ na Anambra State ọ bụrụ an eyesore so ụmụ ife anụnwa anyị ga-emeke sure na onye ọbụla anyị na-etinye abụrụ a sellout then nke ọzọ dịkwa ka ibi abụrụ na onye ọbụla anyị na-etinye aya ha abụzi onye tigbuo zọgbuo enwe mgbe eji eme tigbuo zọgbuo nke a bụ eziokwu ọ dị mma na mgbe ruo na tigbuo zọgbuo mana anyị ga-enwe onye nwe calmness ụdị calmien of Peter Obi you understand enwe ife nji ekwu okwu a maka na ndị be anyị na ife anyị na-emekebe na politics and ọ bụrụ na ọ dị mma na mmadụ na-enwe courage confidence and all that and anyị nwere ya nnukwu dịka ndị Igbo mana enwe ife anyị need add to it ọ bụrụ na ọ na-eme ka onye adị weak or anything na ọ na-ekwu na onye adị weak and ife help go m nnukwu n'ọrụ m na-alụ ebe m na-abanye ụfọdụ ndị so anyị bido ada abanye ya mmadụ nidiri ikwugo okwu gbasara onwe ya mana ife meli ya bụ na amago mmadụ na-eyi ụzọ ụbụrụ ya eme ụfọdụ ihe so enwe ụmụ ndị a na-apụta na ụmụ mmago sọsọ ihe ha ji na-achọ ịbụ leaders bụ ụmụ ife tigbuo ozugbo a anyị ụfọdụ n'ime fa depending on positions but ọ dịsịrọ mma that no ebe you understand so I need somebody nwere emotional intelligence so anyị na-achọ leaders onye ma mgbe anyị eme tigbuo ozugbo madụkwanụ mgbe anyị adị calm so apụta ịnala anyị nke anyị ọpụta na tigbuo ozugbo apụtakwanụ na ebe nidiro tigbuo ozugbo enwere one this thing mfụ to yesterday wee gbaa m anya mmiri onye be anyị nọ na ọ dịka na South Africa no eze ndị gịnị pụta wee mee one video anwa dị very very unnecessary very unnecessary and over ife ihere because nwụrụ ihe abụkwanụ ụdị ihe abụ ndị be anyị kwesịrị ịdị na-akatọ si na ụdị ihe adịrọ mma enwe mgbe eji eme ya dịka ọ bụrụ na mmadụ bịa ịmanye ya ọgụ kịta mgbe ahụ apụta mana enwebe orube onye anwa ịpụta na-aba mba and mgbe ị na-aba mba iwelu strategy oke ka esigoro na inwe strategy iwelu strategy a na-egosizi mbụ ụwa niile ọ bụrụ etu a ka esi eme ihe so anyị ga-achọkwa ndị na-abụrọ ndị na-ekwu okwu ka o si ndị na-eneru okwu ha anya you understand so anyị ayara eje maka ndị den ọzọkwa dịka ibi abụrụ anyị ga-achọ ndị na-abụrọ ndị okomoko ndị na-akwanyere ndị ọzọ ugwu maka enwere ife na-eme n'ala Igbo mmadụ bụrụ gọvanọ enwere ife na wọchị n'ofu steeti yesterday or day before yesterday ndị mere emerge as a candidate for ndị mere emerge as candidate for local government chairman a na-ajụfa ndị press a na-ajụfa enwere onye na-ekwu ihe ọ pụtara ime and ihe o mere eji wee tinye ya as a candidate. If ever na-ekwu na because of our we are loyal and we will continue to be loyal. Ịmụtaba si ekwu ya ndị politics, we will continue to be loyal and this is the reward of loyalty. So if we gonna even mean bụ na enwere onye na-afụ onwe ya as overlord and ndị a na-afụ onwe fa as as ndị I'm gonna ekwu ya servant because mkpọ ya servant ọ dịka ọ na maybe na ọ dị njọ ịbụ a servant, but father afụta onwe ha as people who have things to offer. So I ga-ene anya ndị nwere attitude of respect for others. Then ndị ya na ndị ọzọ na-alụkọ ndị na-abụrọ ndị na-agba alone. Enwe ndị be anyị na-agba sọsọ alone. You understand? Sọsọ fanwa bụ goalkeeper na-eche na-agba na-abụrụ scorer and everything. I ga-achọ ndị na-esik collaboration. Ị ga-afụ ife kunie media na-eme. You understand? Ife ọ na-eme bụ part of the collaboration anyị na-achọ. Onye na-eme ife ọ na-achọ collaboration. Abịa ịmago anyị kọma amịrị ọnụ ọgba ụfụfụ. Ọ bụrụ onye na-ati alone, you understand? Na-ati alone, then ọ nọzi ọ na-echi ọda. You understand? Mgbe o plan chi ife ọ ya eme, ọ na-echizi ọda. Ma ọ bụ onye na-eme no in self-praise. You understand? Na dị more interested in self-praise. Mba ya yara achọ ụdị mmadụ ahụ. Then onye chọrọ group interest. Then ọzọkwa bụ na anyị ayara ejefọ ndị na-adịrọ creative. Now nke a dị very important. Ana m achọ ịtọgbọ okwu very soon, but ka m kwugodi nke a nkwụsie nya then anyị nwere ike anyị ga-achọ ndị dị creative. Enwe ihe dị na ịdị creative. Ọ bụrụ na mmadụ na-arụ ife bụ na ọ dị creative. No, or creative for tomorrow. Can you an example? Enwe ife Peter Obi mere na Anambra State. Maka ọnya bụ example, immediate example m ga-use. Enwekwa ndị ọzọ. Ọ bịalụ je na the critical sector, which is development of human potential, the individual potential, and all the long-term development. And when they na-abịa rụọ ọrụ ndị befa, so they are not creative thinkers. Fabiofa rụọ atịrọ m na ịrụ bridge and flyover dị njọ. So nke a bụrụ creativity bụ na those things bụ mkpa. Ịchọ ikwu afọ mụ the pictures of hostels na even anya so no njọ ahụ na several years I was around that is bad like that or they go worst. If I bụ shame to the people who are managing the university.
Oh, all the Kajimene with connection problem. We need a creative solution to this problem he's having now. Anyway, that was very good. That was very, very good. And it's impressive to hear him speak like that, like an elder. Jimmy I saw Igbo governor Beleba, but this time around he decided to speak in Igbo and it sounds just like him, but in a different way. I could imagine him wearing this red. Jimmy maybe when you fix your connection, you can come back as we progress in the conversation. This is the MONI show. If you would like to be part of this conversation, please request the mic and join us. I like join this conversation. I know that my co-hosts are why, but I like join you can speak English. Come in. I'm sure that everybody here knows what we're looking for. So come in and join us and elevate this conversation to a different level. We're still talking about how to identify or attract the kind of people we're looking for. If you look at the JT, the Jumbotron, there was something that Sizzle, if you know Sizzle, N6, he was doing a research and he was posting this thing. He started with Yoruba, Southwest. He asked their Yorubas on X, please help me with a simple research. If the Yoruba Republic existed today as its own country and these following men were running for president, who would you vote for? And he put a list of names, Omesi and Kama, Jekwan and Kendi North, Arewa on X, the same thing. He put a list of names for them to, like a poll. Then Omesi and Kendi Igbo. I was waiting for that one. Not because I don't know the names that will come out. No, but I don't even nature since. For the last few months, I've been thinking about this thing. Yes, I'm an Biafra, Aborihana, now, government, yes, we know. But What if something happens? Obugo no bro na Nigeria. No, then we move to regional government. Suddenly, I say, okay, can I measure regional government? Can I measure? No. Oluge, can I measure? Let's go. Who do we really have the people? Do we really have the people? Even if we have the people, the way we are right now as in Igbo, in terms of the way we are pursuing our objective, collective objective as in Igbo, ụdị ọgba aghara dị now, ndị nka na-achọ Biafra, ndị nka na-achọsikwa na nke ha bụ nke ndị nọ n'obodo ọzọ ka a na-emezi ya now. Just imagine what will happen if we find ourselves in that situation where we have to choose a leader. The kind of, okay, too crazy, okay, disastrous. It makes me feel like we are even behind time in terms of preparing for what we're looking for. Because sometimes you're preparing for what you're looking for, and suddenly it's in your face and you're not ready for it. This is the reason why we're having this conversation as a matter of urgency. How do we attract these people? How do we find them? So we can actually say, okay, maybe I wrong. Because if I make Peter Obi, Nigerians identified Peter Obi. They saw him running with Atiku. They saw him on the debate. They saw him speak at the debate and floor Professor Sibajo. They saw him speak at platform. They saw him speak at the Lagos Business School alumnus event. They saw him speak in America, the Nigerian American Business Association. And he made so much sense. He said things that connected with the people. And he wasn't just talking. He was making reference to what he did as a governor. So because of that, the people chose him and started asking him to run. I'm not sure that Peter Obi would have decided to run. I'm not sure. He was trying to decide. But the people came out en masse. See, Oga, now if some people went to his theater to go and insult him, so how do we identify the new Peter Obis that we can have as governors, senators, state and federal House of Assembly members, and even local government chairmen that we can support? How do we find those people? What are the mechanisms we can use as creative young people? Qualifying our turn now. So let's move into that conversation. Who is the next person to speak? Orlando, what do you think about what I just said now?
Yeah, good evening, my brothers and sisters. Dalo.
Good evening.
Yeah, so just permit me to, I'm a Igbo, but I enjoy about very casual and kata, so Igbo, so that this one is very serious. So try to use English. So permit me. Thank you. Yeah, so when I think about leadership in our country, I see it manifesting in two distinct forms. So I consider it to be people pressure leadership and leadership pressuring people. So the first is about the influence people exert on their leaders. How much pressure, either positive or negative, they apply. The second is when, leadership becomes dictatorial, with leaders imposing undue pressure on the people. And I strongly believe that most times people get the leaders they deserve. So in our league, we must acknowledge that what we have tolerated for too long has become a part of the culture. So as an Arogbaafo or Horomelala, so a significant portion of our population places enormous pressure on leaders, on leadership, often derailing even the most well-intended individuals, to do things that they ought not to do or they didn't want to do ab initio while in office. So while we aspire to change the type of leaders we have, we want to have, so we must recognize that we also need to be do more advocacy in areas that has to do with budget literacy. Let people understand what the budget in governance means, because budget is everything. If that you're complaining you didn't get something, it's because it's either not in the budget or it's poorly implemented, or diverted. Someone mentioned that the project meant for some two locations in Igbo land, were taken to Lagos, but from the onset where these budget discussions were held, you may not know that the person that took it to Lagos had kept it there because the other part was filled up. So he only kept it, so you were just a placeholder. So it may not be your project, So in the other cases, yeah, there are project diversions. It happens, but advocacy to our people would also help them to know at what point you really get involved. Budgets are not just, budgets is not just a one-off event that just happens with a switch. Budget has stages, budget is also open for people to get involved and make comments. There's a room for that. How much of our people know this? How much of our people that know this get involved? So there must be active involvement, in governance, so people can actually understand timing on when to get involved and hold government and people in government to account. So when we talk about the qualities we desire in ideal leaders, I believe strongly. Someone mentioned here emotional intelligence. I believe that emotional intelligence should be at the top of the qualities that leaders should have, most especially in a place like Nigeria that we exist in. We need all of our leaders to have, emotional intelligence as one of the major, qualities that they should have. In an Igbo, we have very strong, innovative mind. We have very strong commerce mind. So these two things drive any economy effectively, which means that there are a lot of times you run into trouble because of your gifting. So if your leader does not have the understanding on how to really pan you out of situations, you always run into trouble and remain in trouble. So our leaders need to harness the political, the potential in this area effectively. Finally, we must continue to advocate massively, like I mentioned, to our people, to understand how government works and how to hold people in office accountable while they are still in office, not when they leave office. You start running around and they start using the money they have made in office to keep you away from talking. So while they are still in office, there are laws guiding their being in office. Understand what the law says and hold them to accountable. The social media is there. Hold them to accountable within the law. Hold them to accountable, not just to abuse them. Hold them to accountable. They are put in office with laws and guidelines, establishment laws and acts and all that guide their performance in office, their works in office. So if you work with that, you will hold them accountable effectively without creating nuisance and irritation. So in the instance, if we want to change our leadership, we must first change how we interact with leaders, how we get them to office. It's not just about choosing the right leader. It's also about becoming the kind of people that we want. I give you, a typical example while I round up. I've interacted with a couple of people. I've had experiences of you trying to solve, problems in public interest, and the people you are trying to help are also trying to give you ideas on how you can make money and give them some and let others perish. So this is the kind of people we have everywhere. Among these people, you pick one guy that looks like a saint to become a leader, and he goes to show himself as soon as he gets to the office, because a lot of protections are used to make sure that you don't get very close to get him out of office. But if we understand how government works, I believe that the strength, which is supposed to be with the people more, will go back to the people, and they will select the leaders and make sure they hold their leaders accountable.
Dalo, thank you very much, Orlando. Please stay with the mic. We'll come back to you on accountability. We'll expand that conversation very soon. Plato, how do we find these people? Is it that they are already here, or how do we even nudge them? How do we get them to actually wake up and say, okay, I'm running? Let's start from local government chairman office, not just at the top level, for local government? How do we get the people? How do we identify them? And how do we nudge them to see, okay, this is the time to do this and we are behind you?
All right. Good evening, sirs, and good evening, Mars. Let me appreciate everybody that have spoken. Great points there, especially the last person. Great point there. So I will just add a few things. But before I start, let me say something here, that leadership is a skill. Leadership is a skill. Some people are born with it. Some people learn it, develop it to the next level. If we talk about football, you can say that Messi, naturally talented, Ronaldo fought, developed himself, and became what he is. Even at Messi being talented, he wasn't the only person. At that level, Mikel was very, very close to Messi in 2005, but as of today, he is not. Even before he stopped playing ball, he was not, because whether by omission or commission, he was not able to develop himself, either by environment or whatever might have been the cause. Let me also say that just like in marriage, if being a virgin is good, but being a virgin is not the ultimate criteria of becoming either a good wife or a good husband. I'm just saying that being a good person does not automatically make someone a good leader. Somebody might be a good person and still be a good leader. Somebody might be a good person and become a terrible leader, because leadership is not an all-comers affairs. It's not for everybody. It's not everybody that can lead. There are people who are terrible, who might not have those, but they know how to mobilize. They know how to lead. They know how to get the goal. Because as a leader, someone have said it here, innovative and creative, problem solving in psychology. That's why some people are exceptional. Like people like P2B, it's not every day that you see them. People who excel in their career and also go into political leadership and they excel. People like Dora Akunyili. I know of a governor today who was great. We fought. But he's showing that if you make him the last man to take the final decision without anybody supervising him, that he doesn't seem to get the goal scored. Now, in our place, let me also add that the person I took my name after, Plato, he was so obsessed about leadership, who becomes the leader. He was so obsessed by it that he even recommended how leaders should be recruited, trained over years, up to 35 years, in different fields. And after training, you allocate responsibilities to them gradually. If they excel in A, you give them B. They excel, you give them until they grow and become perfect. Now, in our own case, down to the local government, to the councillor. My father was a councillor. So, who do we recruit? Who should we send? In my place today, I have a friend, the senior brother. We are close, but when the Igbo was choosing his cabinet, he chose the junior brother. The junior brother is someone I call a progressive orthodox. He's a progressive, but he's also orthodox in nature. So, but integrity is A, ability, capability, go-getting. He will respect you but he's firm. Imagine Achebe see that I think he's an arrow of God. No na mmadụ ga na-akọ ọgụ ya nwoke, ọ maka na ọgụ ya nwoke na-egbu mmadụ, but olu maka ihele, enyi ya ọjọọ wee taa, olu ihele taa dị ọjọọ nakwa na ọnwụọ, because na ọchọlọ ka ọgụ ya nwoke si nọ na-egbu mmadụ. But this guy, oge nega anya n'ilu gwakwa gị ya ọchọọ dị mma, because ọma that he's standing on what is right. So when the Igwe was choosing, the Igwe chose him as a cabinet member. In short, their own Igwe chose young people. The only old people there is the only they all know. And these young people the man chose are professionals in different field. Most of them are not even based in the village. So few, different field. To the extent that if any son, any daughter from that community is looking for academic help, admission in any school, they have people, a cabinet member that will help. They have a cabinet member also in other fields, that whatever you want as a person from there is someone
there, whatever is being discussed, there's someone there that have an idea. You see how the Igbo have shown leadership, because as a leader, you're like the football coach. You know where to place a particular footballer, and you know when he's tired, when there's fatigue, you know when to move him. Now, this particular guy now, he's a cabinet member. They want a PG for their community. The people went to him and said, Oga, people are content, but we want you. Even me here, the things I do, I can call him to do it and I'll go and sleep, knowing fully well that he will deliver. He's not hearing me what I'm saying here today. But if you come to our town, made up of about nine communities, 9 autonomous communities now, everybody that know him, believe him. And if there's anything to be sent, for us to send anybody to go and represent us, people will just send him and go and sleep, knowing fully well that he will deliver. Not just because he has integrity. But you see, even when there is a negotiation, maybe every state are sending people to Abuja to go and negotiate, we are sure that the person we are sending to that place understands both the good, the bad, the ugly. Because sometimes, if you're a player that you play only like Barcelona, the day you jam a Chelsea that plays anti-football, you might be confused. But if you have the knowledge a little to the left, a little to the right, no matter who you are negotiating with, because the resources is limited, the opportunity is limited, everybody is competing for same opportunity. And if your own leader cannot find his way to get a fair deal for you, no matter how good that your leader is, no matter how strong his integrity is, he will have failed in his number one mission, which is to defend you, to give you the best opportunity. So when I did my NYC orientation, I did in Oyo, and because I've been hearing about MDG then, I enrolled and I was trained. They train people, they train leaders, they train people on how to lead, not just in political leadership, but in different fields of human endeavor. So my brother that spoke like talked about advocacy. There is need for us to start to train people. It's not, at times we talk about leadership, people feel that it's about being the president. No. People cannot fall like Oduduwa from heaven and become president or being the governor. It starts somewhere. As a councillor, you can excel yourself. As a local government chairman, you can excel and people will see what you've done. And from there, they will celebrate you. The Bible said that he that is faithful in little, more shall be given to him or to her. So our leadership recruitment and training process, we have to be intentional about it. And this is even where our own creativity and innovation have to come in. We'll start to train our leader, our people from the A. I know the projects we try to do in the village. At times, even the people who are supposed to, we feel they are young, we should send them. They try to, come so na my dialect. Asking them agada. Say, if they say person they waka, if they waka the open leg, they waka straight again, like say tie up, like say something in between the two legs. It means that the person has gone to collect bribe. So once we notice, we call the person to order. We say, my brother, we are the person that delegated this responsibility to you. What is going on? So you see that even when you don't give them close marking, again, I go back to football. When the coach sits and watches the players play, where they are going wrong, at times fans will even complain. The coach will correct. Let your movement be like this. The coach might not have played the way the player, gotten to the level of the player, but in terms of playing in the pitch, but he understands because he's the leader, he's the coach. So what am I saying? You see, Ali Igbo, we're in Nigeria, but we are enough to build our place. We cannot use Nigerian standard as our own standard. We can have our standard. Understand that anytime an Igbo person goes on an assignment outside Igbo land, we'll be fanning ourselves, we'll be proud, we'll be happy. We'll also be happy that, yes, our senator is different from the senators from other places. Our local government chairmen, they are different from local government chairmen from other places. Our governors are different from governors from other places. That's the only way we can distinguish ourselves. We cannot be doing the same thing the same way other people are doing it. If we continue, if we decide to adopt that, we will not go to anywhere. So if we feel we are different, we do our own things differently. Kunino, you asked me about the local government election. Yes, effort is being made. But just like the last speaker said, about people understanding how government works. You know, the governors, I know it's not just in my own state of Enugu. What happens in local government election is as if there's no election. It's more or less an appointment by the governor. But again, the more people understand how government works, the more interest they pay into government, the more interest they pay into selection or election of leaders, and the more they understand the system, the technicalities to hold whoever that is in that seat accountable. And once we're able to achieve this, we'll have made a whole lot of progress. Let me take our mind back. When our people were in charge of military,
Hello?
before you could join the army.
Hello?
All right, have I spoken so
Yeah.
much? Okay, let me pause.
Start wrapping up. Been fantastic, but would love to hear.
All right.
Start wrapping it.
Okay. Let me just pause here. Anyway, let me pause.
Oh, you don't have to pause, sir, because you hadn't actually landed your summary. So you still have maybe let's say 1 minute to just wrap it.
All right.
Okay. Let me add that when our people were in charge of the military, before you could join the army, it was tedious. It wasn't just you being physically fit. You must be academically sound. Even though in the other hand, it worked against us later. But if you look at those who were able to get into the army, they excelled. So we can start to set our own standard and raise it very, very high and educate and train our people how to lead. Being a philanthropist doesn't make someone a leader. Being a philanthropist doesn't make someone a leader. And having money or excelling in a particular field, Elon Musk cannot rule America. He cannot govern a state. You know, I know of one of our brothers that is already excelling in a particular field, and people are calling him to go and contest governor, I think governor of Imo. If I were him, I would say, Oga, concentrate on what you're doing already and excel on it. I yield.
Thank you so much for your contribution so far. It was quite in-depth, and especially...
Hello, Priscilla, are you there?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes,
Adora, can you hear me? Can you hear my voice?
I can hear you, Chuka. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
Plato, can you hear me?
Oh my...
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, Odeka, my co-host, Odeka Hanabo, something they made their sound, actually. I don't know. They seem to be disconnected somehow. All right. Thank you very much for that, Plato. Very, very key. Very key. This distinction needed to be made. Imago, and we're different kinds of leaders. And we're leaders as noble men and in respect. But then we're leaders and they take a charge of things, manage affairs, manage human beings, and also manage resources in a way that they have to be able to create equitable distribution and also multiply the resources for prosperity. And leader at the other side again, because it requires a different sets of skills. I like football a lot. I saw the illustrations you made around football where Chelsea somewhere. Anyway, just a move, go from that position now. How about quite defensive game? I think the next speaker is Christian. Christian, I'm trying to see if we can touch this a little bit more before we move to the next phase of this conversation. We have something that you might call it's not an emergency, but like I said before, if we're to create some kind of shaking around this country, or something happens and just like something happened recently, for instance, some men called the Patriots went to the president. One of them was Emeka Onyoko, and so many other leaders, from different parts of Nigeria, and they were presenting the case of the need to rewrite the constitution and make it more people friendly, and then consider a restructuring of our system of government. Whatever that is, are we ready for it? That's a question I keep asking myself. As Igbo, our region, are we ready for that kind of thing? Or man, now, what do you think is going to happen? What do you expect from all the people that are fighting for different things? What do you expect is going to come from them? So I'm a matter of exigency right now. So if that is the case, do we have a way of finding the people we can easily support and put in office now, as quickly as possible, as elections are coming? Do we have ways to find these people and, people that we can ask to go and represent us? That's the question. Christian, go for it, please. Christian, if you can hear me. All right. If Christian, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I think you're changing the topic. Sorry, can you just restate the question again?
Okay.
Yes.
This is our topic. Our topic is enabling the emergence of credible leaders in our Igbo. That's what the topic is. But this topic is broad, right? We're looking at what makes a credible leader. How do we identify these credible leaders so we can support them? Then how do we elevate them into the office of government to deliver good governance? And the last one, Gabozi, how do we hold them to account? That's the last phase of this. So right now we're talking about how to identify them, just in case we need to. Okay, I got support for Anambra, or I got support for any of the states in Igbo. How do we find them? What do we need to do? What do we need to start doing now that will enable us to identify and recognize these people, regardless of their popularity or no popularity?
Okay, that makes sense.
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. And first of all, I appreciate this platform. This is the first time I'll be speaking here, so I really I've joined a couple of times to listen, and I enjoy like a lot of the content that you guys are putting together. So I just want to say I appreciate the work you're doing. So, based on your question, I think when I hear this like most of the conversations that we have here, I think one thing that I think about is more of like, what is our identity as Igbos? Because most times I feel like over time, everybody, like we all believe as Igbos, like we are this kind of people, or we have different stereotypes of what people think about us and what we think about ourselves. But from our perspective, I think about it like, because I'm an Igbo man, but I grew up in Edo State, so I always visited with my family. I'm from Anambra State, but I spent most of my time in Edo State. So for me, I think about it from a point of like outside the language that we speak, because the easiest way to identify an Igbo person will be by their name, which is tied to the language that they speak. So outside the language, like what other values do we have that are consistent to say we identify as Igbos? And I feel like if you ask like everybody in this platform now, I'm not sure we all have consistent answer. Everybody will say, we speak this language, Igbo. But outside of Igbo, what other values are they consistent? Because even like one of the reasons you used to know people is say, these people, they speak this language, they are like this, they are like that. You might have 3 or 4 adjectives to qualify them. So I think for me, one thing that I think is missing to an extent, and that also, I also relate it to your question. What I'm saying this is, I feel like over time, we've not redefined what makes us Igbo, and we need to address that too. And addressing that can be more of like having more consistent and having more grouping groups, so say, or activities that people come together to identify ourselves that we are Igbos and this is what makes us who we are. I'm saying that because it's easy for us to say, like we want leaders, we want this, we want that. But if we don't ourselves have an identity that we are Igbo, and apart from the language that we speak, like these are other values that we hold dearly, and we stand on those values, Anybody can come up tomorrow, and because of their wealth, because of their resources, because of their connection, they can force themselves and become the leader. And like greed is something that is consistent, especially we Africans, we Nigerians. There's that greed in our culture. So no matter the competency or the qualification of somebody, once that person has the resources, that person can buy leadership. It happens, and it has happened before. So I think my point to your question, I'm just trying to say, I think one thing that is significant that we need to begin to do more is we need to identify ourselves more, and there are billions of ways to go about that, but we need to and I think this is a great platform, exactly what we are doing here. We need to form things like this across boards, from a lower level to people in universities, just across board. We need to come together and say, okay, this is what makes somebody an Igbo. Because it's not just because I'm a Igbo, that's why I'm an Igbo person. It's one of the most important factors. That one is natural, but there should be other things. So, for example, now in Nigeria, for example, we have different universities. So a lot of public university, when you go to public university, most times federal university, they are very good institution, but anything goes. You can go there, study your engineering, and you graduate. But if you look at it from a different part, most times when you go to a private university, there is more control, and you see that whoever is most times the general overseer, they have an intention to say, I want these students to be in a certain way when they graduate. So outside of the fact that they're coming here to learn ABC, I also want them to imbibe these other values, so that when they go out there, people can say, I know most likely because you behave like this, like this, like this, that means you went to this school. So that's what I'm saying. I think I don't want to spend so much time, and I might not answer your question very well, but I just think that's something I really look forward to. Is a way for us to create platforms that help us to identify ourselves, and also help us to build values that are consistent with our culture. That cultural value that when people see us, outside of the name that we answer and outside of our accent and how we speak, people can also say, because I think Peter Obi is like a model. Thank God for his consistency. Thank God for all the good things that we heard about Peter Obi. I feel like, for me, I'm happy to identify that Peter Obi is an Igbo person. But we also have other leaders or governors in the past that we are not proud of. You understand? So that's why I think my point now is tomorrow anybody can come in because of their resources and influence and say they want to contest for ABC position. But I still feel like when we begin to form a strong identity of who we are, outside of not just the natural things of the language that we speak, but also the values that we have and uphold, then it becomes harder for people who don't have that credibility to come and impose themselves, irrespective of their resources we have. So I really want us, I think for me, what I'm really hoping that we Igbos will begin to really relate to is more of let's build values that would hold on to and say, this is what makes somebody an Igbo. The person speaks Igbo, but also the person is a person of integrity. The person is someone that will do ABC. That means that you are an Igbo. Because if you travel outside of Nigeria, most times you can identify people. So, for example, I think when they do international competitions, they notice that people from Japan, they are very responsible. After games, when a match has ended, they will go back and pick all the bottles in their section, all this trash and everything. They will pick it up, clean it up, and throw it in the trash can. That is something that you can use to identify that, oh wow, Japanese people are like this. That's a very big country, but they have a value that they've created and they use it to identify them. So it's not about the language that they speak or whatever. So if somebody that is Japanese, you see them throwing trash, you'll be like, are you sure you're Japanese? Because I know your people to be like this. So, okay, thanks for the time information. So I think for me, we need to go back to the drawing board and also begin to create values that we can begin to hold on to and say, Igbo people are this. And I think that will help us to be able to now produce leaders, because those leaders will have the characteristics that are consistent with what we define as our values, and not just have people that will come and impose themselves. Yeah, you the mic. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Christian. No. Very, very well. Kunye media.
I can hear you, Ada.
Oh, Chuka na-ekwu. Unu akpọzi m kunye ka asị na afa m bụ kunye.
The handle na na-ekwu kunye.
Biko no, afa m bụ Chuka.
Mena ina nye na-ekwu.
Yes, Anman ihe na-ekwu. Biko, can I please address just something like this?
No, mena chelo biko chelo na anyị da ama mmadụ enu. Biko. No. Biko chelo. You have to wait. Biko, you have to wait. Biko. I nwe order.
I'll forget to.
There now.
Mena, don't worry.
There now, come on. There na your phone. Oh, Sir Chris is next to. Sir Chris is next. I can't jump an elder because literally Kumba Ogadi disrespectful because when on the onye bata biko.
Mena
I'm an man of passion. I'm an man of passion. But sometimes when you're coming,
Chuka happy happy.
Okay, and now you will have your permission. God bless you
very much.
Man, I award you. I award Chris audio.
It's bad. I just want to quickly address something that Brad Christian said, and though I find it, I was trying to see how I could connect, or how we could connect what he's saying politically and the present the Igbo biosystem, or let's say the Igbo atmosphere. But the truth is, there's something that he said I want to address, and that is where he said what can we use to identify the Igbos outside language, and he kept on emphasizing on language. That is there any other thing that we could use to say, okay, this is the identity of the Igbos beyond language? My brother Christian, there are so many things, and I'm going to go from the cultural aspect to say the present political aspect of it. Now, first of all, the Igbos practice a unanimous calendar where we use Nkwo, Ori, Afo, and Eke as our calendar. Now, beyond language, this is a uniting factor across every Igbo clan. Now, that is one. Secondly, we practice the Ofo. These are something that actually practiced across Igbo land beyond language, and we use it as our guiding system and also our system of justice. Now, the Ofo, apart from the Ofo, we practice have you heard of the Igbo apprenticeship system that has actually been ingrained into our culture to develop young Igbo youth into overcoming certain economic constraints in wherever they find themselves. Now, the truth is, wherever you go, there is a popular saying that wherever you go across the world, you see an Igbo person. And if you see an Igbo person, there's an Igbo community. So we have this communal mentality that wherever we are, wherever we go, we form a community. And we don't just form a community, but we take development, progress to that area. If you go to any Igbo concentrated area, apart from forming that community, you will see them doing businesses that is entrepreneurial. This is something that is being known to the Igbos across the world. So language is not the only thing that could serve as an identity to the Igbos. Our Igbo apprenticeship system is also something that we could say that, okay, this thing is also is a peculiar attribute of the Igbos. If you go to Ghana, you go to South Africa, you go to South Korea, you go to Canada, you see the Igbos there in a communal how will I put it? Like as a community, exists as a community. Sure, you understand? Now, aside all of that, the third thing, or let me conclude that last thing, is HDI. You agree with me that the Igbos try as much as they can to invest in education, to invest in things that brings about development within that environment, in healthcare, in education, in rule of law. I tell you, the rule of law is very, very much practiced wherever the Igbo is. It doesn't matter if you're in the southeast or you are outside the borders of Nigeria. So these are one of the things that you could use to identify the Igbos aside language. Another thing is the breaking of the kola nut. When you go to a setting, a ceremony or whatever, one of the things you used to know without telling you that these people are Igbos, without even speaking the language, is the breaking of the kola nut. The breaking of the kola nut is very, very significant to the Igbo heritage. Do you understand? So please, we have so many things. I can go on and on and on and on. We have so many things that you can use to identify the Igbos aside or outside language. Even if we have to also agree that language is also a critical ingredient. But let us say aside language, there are other things. And now bringing this into the political atmosphere that we have now, or the political environment that we operate in now, you agree with me that since 1999, the Igbos, directly or indirectly, have stood on the path of competence. If you check every administration that has ruled this country, right from Obasanjo regime, that has performed well, and I've also taken our GDP above $600 billion economy. Check the voting pattern. You see that the Igbos actually supported massively that candidate. So we, outside language, politically, you agree with me that we have voted for people that are competent, people that are qualified, and people we also don't vote along ethnic lines. Irrespective of your ethnicity, where you come from or wherever, we vote for you because you are competent for the job. Looking at your antecedents. So language is not the only thing that you see that okay, we need to build an identity. We already have an identity. A very strong one. What we need to do is encourage that identity and see that identity doesn't go into oblivion. Thank you. I'll rest my mic for now.
Mena, thank you. No, ijikwa okwu ọ bụkwa na ejiri okwu ghọtago. No wonder you didn't say now gbakiti taka ka ikwu okwu immediately after Christian. So and okwu ikwu amaka, that's the honest truth. So just like you okwu about Japanese, right? Kedi ya siketa ano onyawan kaima aiji we bulu ndi. And some things they pointed out will not make a lot of sense. So I feel near Christian na kowa mbabo. Kai tro twa yesi hanes here these critical or very important aspects of ihemelanya ijibulundi Igbo, our identity as ndi Igbo. Build over time, inculcate if I'm wiki take generations. But eventually it pays off. You begin to see the harvest in the end. Just like in the Japan, also work in the Japan. Yeah, I admire those people so much. So much. And if as a result of their culture, their society, was a result of visionary leaders years ago, decades ago, that put these things in place. And I follow that map, that's roadmap that has been laid down for them. And if we are Japanese people, if we're normal, one-on-one core Japanese person, their behavior, everything about them, or the teacher was so confident in himself, not the humble. So as excellent as they are, Japanese cars or Japanese technology, but they are the most humble people, and that their humility comes from self-confidence. They never feel the need to puff up or say or show off. Anybody in a phone no again there arise up at every point in time where an internal insecurity. That's the truth. So didn't they make good leaders, good servant leaders. So as much as I want that thing we always look out for equity, but if we're being honest with ourselves, a lot of maybe by stemming from Megolanye, our history as Igbo, Megolanye or what. But if we want to be honest with ourselves, we will notice now sometimes I na bokwane born too much. Kalia working sang, and I feel Christian na try Kai focus or kai build our children, our society, bidi go see her, bidi kuzil her to speak more with their actions than with their words. So I really like perspective Christian, and I also like what we used to remind Kwanye a bicycle when I shine Kwan be like the kind of was last you know Chuka, you know. Anyway, thank you very much. Sir Chris, bye. I'm ready to go. It's your turn now to take the mic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ada. Good evening, everybody. Chuka and Priscilla also, and then again, and then ekelele m unu. Asina, a good leader, a bad manager is he who listens too much, or he that does not listen at all. There were a lot of things n'obodo anyị na-aghọtacha. We are very innovative. We are Republican in nature. Anyị na-ekwupụta otu siri tagbo anyị n'obi and handles that way also. But there is something I normally do. If you are my opponent and you beat me, I will go back and redress what happened. Miriam. Mago, I will learn how you do that, Mago. And then ask you, let's fight again, because I will always fight you until I win. Or when you win him, then I become miserable and go and suck wherever I am. Our people are out about how to handle our neighbors. And this is what we really have to learn. Go there and learn what they do. When you look at the Chinese will come to a country. I see, them do it here in Germany. They will carry 2 or 3 Germans to their country and build exactly that town they saw in Germany in their own country. Exactly like that. They will come just normally like a tourist. Before you know it, they have taken completely every damn thing you build there. Where you place your industries, where you place your swimming pools, where you place your roads, where you place your stadium, where you place everything. From there, they are copying you entirely. And this is what you actually have to learn. What are those things our neighbors are doing, and how can we match them? And then we have to find people. Let's see, a good leader is he who has the interest of his people in his heart. See, he should carry the interest of his people along with him. How do we know who they are? He who brings project in his town, like you guys said, without actually making noise about it. He may not want to lead, but he is at the background directing people. When my wife normally listens to this topic, she's even listening. She laughs and says, you guys should send your youth to Germany to come and learn how to be a good leader. And when you come to Germany, I think maybe 60% of them study at the university. The rest don't study. But what actually carries Germany is at least 18%. And these 18% are very dedicated. They identify with their culture, their language, and with their people. And they can die because of their people. They don't even mind. I also put back to put us to what is happening in our country now. We, the Igbo, we have suffered a lot. We've gone through a lot of, injustice, whatever you make, nepotism, whatever. Excuse me. The state I live in Germany, they have also the same problem. I live in a state, we call it Bayern in German language, or Bavaria. No Bavarian has been a German chancellor in the last 70 years. If you go, we are in the south. If you go to the north, they regard this somebody from Bayern as a devil. They are like this, they are like that, they are all Catholics, very conservatives, blah, 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 blah. Even when they want to, they don't like them. But what did the German do? They say, we don't bloody care about your chancellor because the president here is the person that runs the federal government is called a chancellor. It's not called a president. We also have a president, but it's ceremonial. But they say, to hell with your chancellor or whatever you want it, we will economically suppress you. You need us. And if you come here, they live like people in Aba. In every household, there is one industry. It's a carpentry, bricklaying, mechanic, upholstery builder, whatever you need in every. And so there is always job. The employment is there. And they are booming, So they don't bloody care about what is going on in the federal government. And moreover, like Chuka said, how the people are going, most of our leaders are trying to rewrite the constitution now. They run a different type of constitution. They have a federation, but each state has its own constitution. Supreme Court, High Court, the police, and education. They control it. So they don't need actually the federal government to do whatever they want to do. And these are things we have to, train leaders to be able to understand our way of life, where we are coming from, what we have gone through, to understand how we feel. I give you one example during the last election, that what has gone wrong with our society. There was for the House of Reps, Federal House of Reps election, there was a candidate I supported. I campaigned for him, I did everything. And one boy, at the age of 28, was actually handed over the election or the mandate. He never won it because his father was the chairman of the APC in my state, and that was what did it. Now tell me, at the age of 28, what that guy can do there? Nothing. For the past 1 year, I've not even heard his voice. In my own constituency, he has not done anything. And these are the leaders of greater tomorrow, the ones we have now. So there is a need for us to go back into the system and see where those bad eggs are and try to fight it. Create leaders, train them, change their mindset. And that is what, if you don't have enabling environment, you cannot make a good leader. But I stop for now so that I don't hold the mic for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Oga. Dede. We always have reference points. That's what he was saying. There's always a reference point to where we can pick something, where we can, take up some information or grab some ideas or see examples, positive examples that has yielded great results. And that is how every other nation build themselves. Even America, in Okumakere today, America didn't exist 500 years ago. They learned from somewhere and built what they built. It always works. I mean, the fastest growing countries in the world now, 70 years ago, they were nowhere. China was nowhere 40 years ago, but look at where they are now. Like he said, Japan, the same thing. Deming's method. I don't know if you guys know about Deming's method. They used they had a brain drain. Brain drain is actually how many countries develop. When the best of the people go to the advanced countries with the purpose and with the intention of learning how things work, developing themselves, going through the school system, understanding governance, understanding leadership, understanding business, economy, industry, they now come back to their country with all that skill, knowledge, resources, connections, network, and all that. They come to their country and then build their country. That's what they did in UAE. That's what they did in Japan. That's what they did in South Korea and many other countries in East Asia. And
this is what I believe. I believe that it's possible for the Igbo. I think we have a lot of resources in terms of people. I mean, people of high capacity in diaspora and also here in Nigeria. So that's why I keep asking that question, because it looks like you have to, like me, I think we have brought two guests to this show who came to talk about, one talked about economy, the other one talked about security. Both of them live in America. One was one has been very prominent on Twitter, sharing about the economy. The other one is on Facebook. He's not very popular, but he's doing his thing, his initiatives. That's how I found them, to be able to bring them to this platform to talk. And when they came, it was obvious that in India, there was a reason why these people were invited, because they have stuff to offer. You know, they have experience, they've been around, and they practice what they're talking about. So, I can do that question, I can we have to have a way of finding these people. We have to have a way of identifying the people that we send to go and represent us, so that we can make it quickly, because it's possible. I mean, this kind of behind an eye now, you can have three approaches or three different projects. We can have short-term projects, we can have mid-term projects, we can have long-term projects. So the long-term projects are how to develop the people that will become the governors and senators 20 years from now, 15 years from now, 30 years from now. The mid-term are the people that will become governor in the next 8 years. The full capacity then. But now we can start now to see how we can rally around them and help them in every way we can, as long as they have the intention, or we can even show them that we would like them to go for it, and then support them in any way. So they are consciously working towards it ahead of time, preparing themselves in every sense of it, building network, advancing in their career, doing all kinds of training, doing enough research in their state or in their constituents for what they're going to do when they come into that position eventually. Then was in the short term, which is also a very important factor, because we are always looking at the things we can do. And anytime we have concluded, okay, this is a solution that we can profile, okay, this is a project that this guy is doing, okay, this is a way to go about this initiative, it keeps coming back to the fact that we will need the approval or support or some kind of cooperation from the governor or from the senator or from the local government chairman in what particular state or constituency. It's always the issue. So men now can have long term and also short term, and that short term is the part that we might need to touch even more. Can we devise a system or a way to identify these people so that we can give them the immediate assessment that they require? We can do like obedience whenever anybody emerges not trying to run for anything, just check it here. Make background search. Make background check. It will be vetted by random people who just take it up as their business. They check it when you get criminal record, maybe they or no one can when cause. Then I'm more than game me. I said, okay, if one may go lebe date or if one may go lebe date, if one may not be states, if one may Enugu, or if one may US from the Igbo. There's always something that we can find, negative or positive, that will help us to even be able to say, okay, this person is ready to go. So do we have any system? Can we is there any way to build that kind of system? Because the same system is also what can be useful as a tool for holding them accountable beyond the other things that have been discussed here. Daniel, I would like to bring you in here. On this note, go for it.
I do my first Daniel now, speaker section.
Oh, I wasn't looking at my screen. I asked him to hold the mic. Okay, because Daniel, Plato, you guys are still here. We want you to remain here. Orlando, let's get back to you. I hope you understand the Ebensiaga, the area in our touch now. Let's connect it. Because if with that same system, then you can easily say, okay, let's push this person up. We have to get to the point where we can do collective work, not just saying village or bono. We have to get to a point where we can do collective work.
Oh, can I your mic the open or you try thing on and open.
Anybody can
sorry,
chime in here.
Okay, yeah, but I can say something now.
All right, chime in, please.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know some phone, but I think no buna, we put that time here, to discuss about Igbo and to I guess where improve ourselves and our people. I think no an outstanding leader, because I've lived in US, my adult life, and Ejemo won 2006 or so, where people in discussion. Then in local government, P2B was the governor, and local government chairman, or caretaker committee came. So people are not discuss, like my town of Kijana here local government. So I go P2B in a save, local government, because he used to give them like their on I save with the money and then on give them the running cost, so they use for to run the council. Then save we're going to are supposed to use for projects. Because they were not executive or caretaker committee. So anyway, so people now they're talking about only one guy, he was going to run for local government chairman, now go to get Swene Liego. I went home, a rough forum and now think about it and see why, or the inmates, running the asylum. So that's basically what it is. Okay, if I brought my public speaker, bro, I never ran for anything in my life. But the thought, kept nagging me. Said, okay, I'm gonna run for local government chairman. That's what I'm going to do. And they get there by, I won't leave this money for these people, to embezzle. So because big activities, and then to my surprise, and started get traction. People started listening to me, especially young people. I started telling them because personally, like common, simple things, common sense, even common sense. Just like I believe with every one of us here with common sense. Certain things, common sense, things that could be done. For instance, like because then among my having been able to talk to some a lot of old people, not at village. There was a high blood pressure. The high blood pressure medicine for 1 month then like about 200 naira. 100 naira then. And so kick out of local council, everybody, like the Lugo, some years retire ago, you about having blood pressure, like every like on Sundays, all the churches in local government, we give them blood pressure, meter, cough or whatever. When people come to church, you make them measure, check their blood pressure, check their sugar. Then ndị okenye work with communities ụmụnna ndị ụmụ fane nwere ego ndị ụmụ ha nwere ego we tell them take care of your parents, make sure that your parents go on ọgwụ. Ndị mama na-enwe ego local government will buy them their medication 100 naira for 1 month. So like some simple things they were starting the people looking at me like I came from heaven, So I believe with every one of us with common sense here. So we'll start with us, like I not check it like any guys on local government chairman. I need to check who are we looking for? Oh boy, why can't we do it? Why can't we? Individually, I am along with a lot of our, some of our friends. The capable, I have friends, like that people call issue like or something. I talk to them, give me this, do this research for me. They do it. So in our lives, we have people like that. What are we looking for? We nominate them. And when our Okija group belong to, one day we're talking about, we want to nominate someone in our standing person, in our community. So people just started throwing out names. I was looking at them. Somewhere one man, he died uncelebrated. Nobody knew about, like we had a cordion see, like on your law because he worked in the government, on a question. So he didn't, like a bulego or no. So the people were like, and I came on a village, I said, oh, Ijelo bought like this man, I'm like, actually, we're failure. So no, this, like, oh, able this man, able like this man, you wait for pastor. So, but the man, my dad served the man. So my dad told me stories about the man. So I went there, at the group, started talking about the man, like people were looking at me, say, and see at this man, even because nephews here and this is here about how more are they about their uncle, the kind of person he was. So the thing picked, it got traction and people started talking about it. When we working, they belong to that side because he had only one child. We were working or not in that group, so they had to call him. Bring him into the. Somebody reached out to him saying, "We're talking about your father here." So things like that, we know people who are capable. But I say in the Quebec, chota these people. I brought people. I want to be with sense. In sense, sense. Bring them up on again game. Bring them, support them. Help them, fight for them. Bring people in my game. We are together for them. I need the people. If I need leadership, abroad, maybe not this guy. It's not a spiritual thing. Namad must be sent or whatever. Maybe not this guy, no, like Omasa. That doesn't, disqualify him. So when that because they find it bring people together. That's one of the things I like about US. And as a president, and as president, bring people together. Amora president Omoranka, he's humble enough to bring people that's the thing that's in the US, the institution of the presidency, the strong, not the president itself. Unlike Nigeria, where the president is strong, US, the presidency, the office, those people you're working together. So we need the people, like people who are humble enough, not in our life. We will bring them, they can listen to you. Now, not empower, they will listen to you. If you tell them, this is a policy, this is what we have to do, they will listen to you. So we have to, look for these people instead of, some other people. Out there, and again, somebody, I think was it Chuka talking about no with men in Nigeria, Nakita, how where do we start? Because I had a problem. I'm sorry, it's been like I'm hungry, for the past 1 or 2 years, Nakita, like all that, because some facilities we didn't set up. Didn't set up as in Igbo, and open I think no reason where Nakita I get chopped Nakita. And I'm in a generation. I'm more like my late 40s, like generation also like in the Gen Z. I went so open I fix or things now. We are gone. I one day not the from 35, now, but I fix or something. We are gone as people because they can hammer Hanako. And many of them, I'm not going to make generalization, hammer Hanako. We are gone. So we have to start fixing things, start, putting things in place so that, they will bring them so that how join, be able to take care of all those things, when we are gone. So anyway, shadow government, because all these things, when, Igbo Union, they had those mindset, okay, look at when Biafra started, they had government, they had everyone everywhere. Everyone set up, in the Ministry of, Science, you had guys, producing the body way. Everywhere they have people already. So, all men and Igbo, and I think, Nigeria, tomorrow, Nigeria collapse. Who do we have? We don't have. So we have to start building those things. I need to know where people, or Haneze, and Dinka. No. It go history in the Jew for how they made it. If we don't also group of people unknown. Monday in the night, there's like Likud party that Benjamin Netanyahu and those, or they were terrorists before. So I was something to Jukuku. Like also I need in the because sometimes we talk about where I say any movement you're born for a US civil rights movement Martin Luther King Malcolm X na Israel na Hamas Palestine Hamas PLO like a peace, then cap, military. So in which don't live AK-47. So I think we find when we want to develop a strategy, I cannot work and then we did in the in our midst. We need them. So because people who are not listening to us, half of those people, they want to talk to us. So we just like I don't want to take up much time. So leadership, let's start, Obona Igazon go chairman na bonu, Jenna Bonu. It's all, I get advice. Obunu with fini the men, you can talk to me. I'm with common sense. I can give you a project, if based on like my own experience. I was, I like an introvert. After that, can be go place to talk before I'm alone. So say
Odika Ekene, we're losing him. Kokusigo.
And that was MONI again. And it was
His mic
making
is
a lot of
muted though.
sense.
Hello?
Okay, continue, Rico.
Oh, sorry, can I stop? I've been talking about
No, actually, continue where you stopped. We heard you. We heard the things you were saying. So continue.
Okay, yeah. So so I am one in a bar. Let's start. With us. Opening as one local government chairman. Jena Bono. More from my own experience. So both people need to check. What I go on, where people listen to me, they need the rego. On when they started talking to me, even to this then in AC, what I think of AC Action Congress then. They had they sent a representative, coming to me, talking to me, saying they are not youth now support them. Like should come into their party. So in which there are so many ways to do this. I get gonna lawyer. Yeah, let's start. So I have to say, we can do it no matter okay, Ojuku was 33, Chinachebe was 33 or something, or they were young guys. I don't know how old some of us are, but we're not that young. Let's start doing things. Let's not start waiting, looking for people. Let's start doing it. I got happy no bono Nandia Nambra, no one Denambra never no for any my bloco chairman, after this election. Dalon, I build from there.
Darwin, this is practical. Maybe I didn't hear everything you said because we're part and distracted. But I wanted to ask you: did you run eventually? Did you run and won and became local government chairman?
No, because because Peter was a court injunction. Going local government election, make difference. I lived in US now, so my family in the US.
Yes.
I got tired. Let me, I just went. I went back to the US. Yeah.
At least the fact that you saw the need and took the initiative, that is a leader. That is leadership. If we allow these criminals to keep going in, because that's why we have the people we have now. Until they took charge and captured the whole thing. Was their godfather. Sir Chris, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, when we hear my brother Kuru here about finding good leaders or whatever, but the political spectrum in Igbo land they change at the moment. We are deviating from our normal Igbo-oriented spirit. That is not minding which party you belong to. What matters is the interest of the Igbo. In my state, Haneme local government election. And after I go, there are candidates in the Labour Party. It's because I'm a member of the Labour Party, even though I'm not even qualified to run for any office there. But I also still see that the system is hijacked, actually. It's just, you must have to bring a certain amount of money to be able to do it. And in essence, the quality of the people handled with is na lack, And then you see when somebody said, I'm a youth leader, at the age of 38, 40, you are still a youth leader. I don't know about it. He was a youth. I don't know. Other people define who is the youth because
Sacrifice, it's on this age group.
No, joke apart. You have to see somebody, now youth leader. For me, a youth is somebody between the age of 18 and 30. The country I live in, I'm a member of a political party here. And I can give you a number of the political party. I belong to the leftish party. They call it the Linke Partei. I have to use the adjective and in the German language, and also the pronoun and everything, and the article. The Linke Partei, we actually break out from the Social Democratic Party, which is the Labour Party, And I knew the reason why I left the Social Democratic Party, because our leader at that time was Lafontaine, one of the chancellor Germany never had, a very intelligent man. When he left the Social Democratic Party and went to the Linke Partei, that is the leftist party, I followed him because I too much love that man. It's like the love I have for him is the one I have for Obi. And that was why. But still, I still vote for Social Democratic Party. I vote tactically. In those areas where I know that the leftist party has no candidate or cannot win the election, I still vote the Social Democrats. Now in the parties, they have what they call the young Social Democrats, the young leftist party, the young Christian Democrats, the young Christian Social Democrats. Each and every body have their own youth. And the youth plays the role of what the obedience are doing now. What they do is, if somebody is coming out, they check his antecedents. Really, these are the Gen Zs. They attack you, they fight you. And they make sure that, and then even if your own party is bringing a wrong decision or making a wrong decision or going to a wrong path, they still attack you because nobody, they no care, And these are the things we want in the whole political party. It's just not just to worship one man or one that has money that can dash you money. Try to have the interest of your community and the brighter Igbo people in your heart and work. But we don't have it. Like you, Chuka Jirukwe, if anything happens today, we are nowhere. We are not prepared. And what are we going to do? I tried it. I'm sponsoring 3 or 4 ward councillor candidates there, and I see that at the end they may not even win the election, even though no matter how hard I try. We are doing we're not just keeping quiet anyway. We are doing things, but because I don't come to shout on it, or on the space or whatever, a lot of things is going on. There is also things we need to do. We need to start. We must not just wait on, like my brother rightly said, for one person to start it. We can start it from every angle. Train the people that are behind us. Be ready for what will happen today. In case anything happens, where do we stand? This is the problem we have. It pains me a lot that in my own state, that is very, very education-wise, they are even we are better than any other state in Eastern region. We are lacking behind now. Even is it in sports also, we are lacking behind. Every damn thing, we are going backwards because we have somebody who was an Uber driver before and just hijacked the governorship and is a governor there now and starts killing people. People are frightened. If you go to where and see what is happening there today, you will be surprised. Kidnapping everywhere. Nobody wants to come out on the street anymore. You cannot say anything. And we know who is sponsoring it. In essence like this, you cannot do anything. People are afraid to move. There was one woman, they kidnapped him at Owerri and they found him at Okigwe. They kidnapped her at Owerri and found her at Okigwe. She never even knew what happened until people start talking to her. A lot of things are going on here. And in that atmosphere, you can hardly do anything. And those are the things we really have to do. We have to create, I know that Chuka, your space is not actually for that. You're not that violent person. But some of us here, should also create spaces to call out our people. We are not doing it. Call them out, tell them what they are doing, what they're not doing well, and how they give suggestions on how to do it, and checkmate them to make sure they are doing it. Nobody is doing it, and they have the feet there. But I stop here, first of all. Maybe I'll come in again.
Sir Chris, Dede, onwe ka isi ekwu okwu. Sometimes onye na-adị ege ntị, ọ bụna onye, as in onye na-ada anụ Igbo, ọ bụna oyibo ka ị na-asụ. Ị na-asụ oyibo na-ekwu okwu. Onye na-ada anụ oyibo, ama mma na ihe na-ekwu dị very serious. Ị ga na-ekwu ihe na-ata alụ ọ ihe na-eyi egwu, but the way the tone iji ekwu ya adị so gentle, onye na-ege ọsị onye a na-ekwu ka a ga-esi nyere ndị mmadụ aka kere ndị mmadụ ego. Thank you very much for that. Truth is that we need to actually think about that, and it's part of the plan. It's part of the plan of Ifai game. We have to figure out how to do it effectively in a way that even if there's a blowback, it won't hurt anybody, and at the same time, it will stop us from doing what we want to do. Makana obodo bi igwe, you know. If anybody would like to chime in here and join as we are rounding up this conversation now, please just raise your hand so we know that you are ready to speak. We have 20 minutes more to go. So in these 20 minutes, can I just conclude here in the area of how to elevate them, how to put them there? Okay, let's show you. What ways can we mobilize? What ways can we do even the obedience similar? Like Oga Chris now, you can't wait. The way he sounds like he always go hope now as normal as he had in Imo State. Because these people have captured everything. But I believe that there is always a way. There is always a way. It's just that sometimes it takes a lot more. But when the people come together, when the people wield their collective power, and one thing I've learned over the years while watching these guys is that they are cowards. I have not seen one. I know they won't like to hear this. I have not seen one Nigerian politician who is powerful that is not a coward. I have not seen one. It always shows at the critical time. It showed recently. It always shows at the critical time. In fact, the only person who forgot that I told you Peter Obi. Because they know that I told you they meant but you just see them there. It's a see here. And so when about the see in that soft tone, that soft Adobe tone. You know, we have to hold people. My senior brother, my elder brother. But only if I hold you, all the rivals and the people in the ruling class, and but they know that they can't do anything because they might not try anybody. We just saying the truth and proffering solutions. So I think the people are still powerful. The people are more powerful than these people in power. The only thing is that I need to figure out the technical strategies that we can use to mobilize ourselves to be able to say, from this particular month, come this election in Anambra, in Enugu, in Ebonyi, in Imo, in Abia State, when the time comes. Thank God we have somebody in Abia who is there. And yes, we have to find a way to start looking closely to at what he is doing in Abia State and hold him to account. We will get to that point very soon. We will, definitely. Let's continue on this tangent, if you guys wouldn't mind. Orlando, do you want to come in, please?
Yeah, thank you, Chuka. Before I zoom into your last area, which is what we really need to do to move towards selecting the ideal leaders, towards an election. Let me start by saying that, it's usually very difficult to separate leadership from followership, but it's important that they are always separated so that their roles, which are very significant, will be obvious and achievable, for effective governance, So why some individuals, excel at creating avenues for leadership success, it is important to also recognize that that our form of governance has challenges that go beyond having a good man or someone that is someone with humility, in office. So understanding how government works is very vital, both for leaders and followers, to ensure that meaningful engagement and accountability is in place in every space. So creative leadership and engaging followership are key to success in governance, from experience. So creative leadership involves not only having a vision, but the ability to inspire others and turn vision into reality. Vision is all what you hear during campaign from one party to the other. They cast vision. Some of them borrowed vision and all that. So, but when they go into office, turning it into reality becomes a nightmare, and everybody shares part of the trouble. So, engaging followership means to be informed, to be involved, and ready to hold leaders accountable. So without these dynamics, even the well-intentioned leaders will struggle in office and most times fail in office, uh, uh, because these things are not there, and the synergy from the point of the people holding the government or people in government accountable will not be seen. So you can also hear a lot of critics that, despite their abilities, most critics, after criticizing, if you give them political office to hold, they would fail. So uh, when in office, they just fumble because there's difference between where they are standing, and where they were standing and where they are now standing. So the gap is the lack of knowledge of not understanding what happens in office and the dynamics therein. That's why I keep advocating that it's important for people to know, to a large extent, what happens in office, the way the office is formed, kind of things that happens. I liken public office like a very extremely cold, or in fact, ice block. And I likened the society like water that is boiling at 360 degrees. Two of them are water, but they are two different, composition at that point in time. And anybody that is of any of this on either side will give you very different description of the way it feels. So until we try to make sure that, yes, this water remains in a very in the same state on both sides, you will never have the leaders, to speak the same language like the followers. Unfortunately, we always pick people from the hot part of the water side to the cold part of the water side. So the temperature on the other side soon change them not to even understand the way the temperature on the other side feels. So until we find the mechanism to make sure that people in office continue to be held accountable, they will claim not to know what's going on and come to share rice intermittently to gain confidence momentarily and get into office again. So furthermore, if you don't understand how things work in government, even a good man can quickly become overwhelmed, if he goes into office because of this lack of understanding of how things work, leading us into the cycles of excuses and ultimately the same old stories of leadership failure will emerge. So knowledge of governance is very effective, very, very essential in navigating, leadership. Finally, the aspect of really what do we need to do? I will forever talk about advocacy because I've done I've had a lot to do with government, so I understand that at times government do things because people are not involved or because they don't want people to be involved. Why wouldn't you want people to be involved? Because there are people that just have one or two interests that they believe overrides the other interest, which is general interest. So when you flip the coin of interest, you now have the individual's interest, which most times in Nigerian politics and some other parts of the world, overrides the entire public interest. So I think engaging people to know how government works, what they need to do part-time, when it is that we don't need to wait for elections. Now is the time, because if you begin to create avenues where people can trust what you're bringing out in terms of your engagement, how you are engaging people in government, holding them accountable, trying to expose what they are doing, trying to also ask questions, trying to also praise those ones that are doing well without asking them for money. People will also trust you when you come to say vote for Mr. A, because we have checked him out and we found out that he is able to do this with the track record of this and that, and he has shown this and that. So by that, we would have gained enough social capital to do the social work that is required of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Orlando. I could tell no any equal because to have a good flow. Orlando,
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
We can hear you.
Awesome, thank you. Because I think you could know leadership. At the end of the day, everybody can have a bit of their human excesses. It will always come up, right? That's why as much as a society join hands together, pick a leader, among them, they also need to be able to hold that leader accountable. Because often at the followership, amaro their duty, and amaro at the times, hakwasi yotago hold the leadership accountable. That leader eventually bidona eme yes earlier. Because all the candy this is not candy only do yotago. They are hardly interested. So you're very, very correct, because at the end of the day, as much as a leader be a shepherd, the followers are sheep, equestrian sheep. So I like that point of view with it to it. Now, if you initially just coming back to here, go from here. Oh, I can down there. Something about leadership, with diverse kinds of people, and ndị na-apụ ala yotago ndị si na drum ndị not crazy and serious ready to just do whatever it takes. And ebe a ka nsichi bịa tinye ọnụ onye na-adịbe erratic, yeah, you need some level of ndị na-adị erratic, but in a team, not to be a leader. Because kind confused with anybody born or that realize na it level-headed most of the time. The key word, but most of the time it level-headed. In fact, 99% of the time it maintain that level-headedness, that ability to think it through. You take your time, critically analyze things before I act. Yeah, it might seem slow to people, but it might feel things and I calculate. If you don't have that ability, yes, a good leader, you can perform very beautifully in a team. Where your ability is needed. But obulu might be the leader. Let's not confuse it. I can say, I know that I can uphold a leader. I can, and the like I don't because somewhere some subjects in math, I'll just see red. I can't. When you could come but my motives are not in the right place. Yes, or not in the right place. But at the same time, I believe we're a leader. You have to be able to understand and accept the fact. And it is okay. You have to understand that it is okay. You have to be willing to take criticism at face value, whether more the necessary or more draw necessary, but he get receive here at that point 100%. Brings me back to Yanku about servitude. You have to realize I'm just a figurehead. Ghọtago? Na onye a na-agwa gị okwu abụrụ na just Chuka chi ịgwa m okwu. No, Chuka at that moment ọ na-enye gị that advice. Ọ represent ndị nwe gị nụ, ndị na-akwụ gị ụgwọ ọnwa, ndị kpọbata gị, ndị choose gị to lead this position. Ndị nye gị the mantle of leadership ị na-use. So ine n'anya na Chuka agwa gị okwu n'anya ifekwu ya n'azụ. You know? So a leader needs to be able to accept criticism, accept advice, because it's just like Uncle here, PW's no onye ala nye advice. We can bro no onye ala boy, I see that can you get advice? No. But don't we onye ala you realize yeah, make sense. What I go? Meaning that you should be able to whether monya Diego more the mazio more the gikonya me feel like no luro digi mmadu. Me feel like hey nwa na-ekwu okwu my wife or this man na-ekwu okwu ojikwa na ego offer my younger brother kita or offer my husband kita. No. You need to be able to realize na onye obuna nwere some level of agency and don't worry ihe amuta we hear from in this life. What I go? So you need na bu ihe make a leader. Can you use myself as an example again? A lot of people on this space, this streets, right? And we have a lot of good ideas, good concepts, but I don't like eating your women as can lead, yeah. Man or quite in a team now influence things very well. Absolutely. In fact, I believe no bona at ENM and open a team be more on the not like eating your on because we feel on where something beautiful that I always bring to every table. That is my level of confidence in women. But obo kwe continue onwe say no come front wo uni ya kwakwa maka uni ya kwagide mu no before njemeya. Why can't njemeya again? I'm nwere all that that 100% patience for some level, some subjects in fact, especially aputani here basalo maze. What I go? So because no kaya confused, yeah. Kaya confused the two, and therefore anya obuna na like in front to onwe ko lead ye. Nekwanya ofuma let's muna chi jonya just me figurehead for that time to bring attention. But obokwa maka imezi onya a full on leader na anya ofuma anybody na chi irush ko oje nolu niru ko oje kulu niru. Onya na deba overconfidence and do no more na emende na do overconfidence. They often drive up the cliff without critically analyzing the terrain. Thank you very much, Orlando. I like your point of view.
Adora. So any okuni ma local government chairman up here. If I give you proof
Hey,
Adora got tagbo everybody there.
Matarokwa, but anwe yo ya puta. I may need somebody like my deputy. I believe somebody the very level-headed at every time. You know what I go? Even when they do too in a team, like when I na arrow, when they na arrowhead, when they
like Daniel Igbo. Daniel Igbo is an example.
Yes, Daniel na deba. The relaxed on the even in terrain, he are very very annoying. Sometimes on the annoying, but it's solely no. Eventually, I fokuna align. You know what I go? And when the ndị na-abụ arrowhead, ndị na-swap, ya na-break it through, break the barrier. But in anya arrowhead no onwe ya da agbata aka. Only did that stem. You got to go. Now apụta ndị nọ na stem, and ndị nọ na stem abụ ndị na-maintain stability. Na-maintain stability. Ihe a na-aga the trajectory of oga, na-aga ọfụma that project na-eme. Then after the end when ndị bụ finishers bụ ndị ya make sure bring ya here to the expected concluding or conclusion. You got to go. That's that tail end of the arrow, and every one of us in anya enwelele ebe anya nchen banye. So as much as symbol arrowhead, eating him as an arrowhead, malukwa gi na okwa so arrowhead kambo. So
Hammer.
It's like pass you off more of my you can wire to talo mo stability mo.
and finish them. If not, nsukwu wall and happen ebe gawa get your wall also mass. So thank you very much, Chuka. I think
This has been interesting. I think we have just one more submission before we go. It's becoming obvious to me that we cannot exhaust this conversation. It will come back one day. I'm not this time around because all the too broad from what I have seen. And in the Kwanya survey, for many people actually equal just because of how sophisticated all this somehow. Man, I can't it's just that I try me off. That's why a lot of people want to rather just listen. I'm already if any Plato. Get I can't what I page you Paul Plato. What do go obvious to me now?
All right, see Thank you again. In my high name now.
you got the obvious, young one.
Now because na keep it obvious odogu.
But I know a philosopher, a professor philosopher. He say abata. He say sonoku. This the same way Plato be. No, don't get way Plato. But they don't go me all to go clear to me. First of all, but you came with a disguise, and all those things. So on your never got as a businessman. What are you concerned about philosophy coming from this kind of person? That was a distraction tactic. I'm not him. If they say I'm a trader, just like Peter V say I'm a trader. Trader they call all kinds of certifications now, all kinds of universities in the world. Also, quite not a trader. I understand, but what I'm trying to say is that I like the way you bring things from very deep meaning and break it down clearly for people to be able to understand. Chuka,
thank you for this body massage. It's helped me to sleep very, very well
conditioner.
Thank you. All right. Well, actually, I'm a trader anyway. But let me say something. You see, part of the challenge I need when I buy, I in Abasa because I have limited economic opportunities in our place. Let's be frank about that, okay? Because of that, Onye Puta, Ochoa, greener pasture, we move out. And moving out, it negatively affects our cohesion in our hinterland. And most times, we might not have the best hand and the best brain around. Most times, I'm being careful, not all the time, okay? Now, when that person move out in search of economic empowerment for him, for his family, Onya Motechezia, Ochoa power. Onya Mota the money, Ochoa power. I don't want to talk, I find it difficult to talk about it today, but in Ekwanya, on one I work sometimes, I don't think he was trained to be a leader, but he made money. After making money, because he has made money, one philanthropy here and there, he was uprooted and planted as a leader. And then, Makandi agriculture by planting. Over the age a plant will get to, you cannot uproot it again from a place to another place. If you uproot it, you might not get the premium of that plant again. So you see that we have to start training our people from the beginning. That's why this advocacy and the role of SDG, minimum, sustainable development goal, it also encompasses training of leaders from the grassroots. So that as the person is coming up, a teacher, somebody can be a teacher in primary school, but he can also go and represent us as a local government chairman. Because of what? Over time, he has been with the community. He understands the needs of the community. He has been relating with the community. He knows what the community needs. Okay? Now, if you're not here and you want to go into leadership, you want to go into politics, it's not by fiat. You cannot just wake up today and tomorrow. One thing or the other. But in your community, find one problem and start solving it. O nwere ike ọ bụrụ na ụzọ na-agba na bụ na afịa na-etochi ya. Mobilize youth. Start to clear it. In clearing it, people feature within that place, they can start to support you. You can move from one street to the another. Okay, what will you hear Alex name about education? He has chosen a field, he's solving problem. People are seeing that he's solving problem. Tomorrow, the same people can say, okay, help us in doing this. And they will support him. So what am I saying? Find a problem. There is no community there is no problem to solve. When the people of Israel crowd out to David, because they saw the problem he has solved in his own family, within his own area. If you are solving problem, people will recognize you. There is no way they will not recognize you. And even if the governor is against you as an individual, the people will say, okay, this is who we want. And as the Chuka said that most of our leaders are cowards, before you know, they will surrender. They will back you up. And as you get there, you function, you become better. So it's important that all of us understand, as my brother said before, how government works. Because if you understand how government works, you will use their own law against them. If you understand how the law works, you will use it to achieve that particular purpose that you want. It's not difficult. Chuka, I can tell us that if we decide that in the next 10 years, I'm not even saying 20 years, that this is what we want to achieve, I can assure us that we are going to achieve it in no distant time. Because one thing about us is that whatever we agree to do, we don't look back. We don't run half mile. We go the whole mile. Everybody will back if you're doing what is right. And we already know that an average Igbo person hates injustice. An average Igbo person hates injustice. He wants things to be done right. So if it's he who is doing things right, whether the person is brother or not, he will back him up. So let's take this advantage of what God has blessed us already, that is already innate inside us already. As for, let nobody be discouraged, okay? Maybe Ojuku them, they were young, 20-something years when they became leaders. Let me tell us something. When the colonial powers came, education was for the younger people. Those who were already old could not go to school. Those who were already old, if you look at those founding fathers, it's only Zig that was old. Young people. So the ones that went to school, education power, they got education and they were entrusted with leadership. But today, it's not the same again because both the old and the young, they are educated. So we have limited opportunity and we have a whole lot of people battling for the same opportunity. So Nigeria of 50s, of 40s cannot be the same today because as at that time, it was only kids that were still within that education age, school age that went to school. But today, people are educated already. So, Kunye, let's continue to do what we are doing. And I know that in no distant time, we'll get it right.
They were, forgive Anneku, when he was talking about that part of uprooting, and when the seed or whatever the plant is has grown to the point that you cannot uproot it anymore, I heard my head like this. Chai, one there. Thank you very much for those meaningful submissions. Thank you very much for everything you said here. You have added so much value to this conversation, and everyone else who has added so much value to this conversation. The more we talk, is the more we realize that the work that is to be done is bigger than we thought before. Every time we speak about these things, it becomes clear that there is so much to be done. But the beautiful thing is that people who want to get things done are waking up, or at least connecting with each other. One of the advantages of this conversation is that we get to see ourselves, get to share our ideas and our thoughts, get to know ourselves, get to identify with the same things, with the same common goals and objectives, so that it becomes easier to connect and put things to work, or get to work, or pursue a particular goal or particular project. We are gradually moving into that. I believe that the time is going to come when it will be easy to just get into things. Because if over a long time, when we dropped that culture, that Igbo philosophy,
on his own, which was necessary for some time. But now, I am at the level where we don't have a choice. We really don't have a choice than to work together. A lot of things have been said here that were very, very succinct, very profound ideas. We need to really, according to Orlando, we need to really pay attention to what's going on and how government is run. If it means to go and begin to request for documents, look into the documents. But let's start from the basic things. Kedonye bu your local government chairman? Who is your councillor? Who is representing you in the Senate? Who is representing you in the House of Rep, both state and federal level? Malugodin de Fabu. And even your neighboring constituencies or local government, Malon, they're not around you. So that when you are looking at what to hold accountable, in on a village, it's okay. Kedebe bendi abona aponya bu honora. Kedebe honora self. Kedebe honora bi. Yemalobele bi. So that one nature kije one day. Male big geje any anon because all on a village like this, on a bit easier. See, and na nekwane find out forever, nekwe find out forever. Ne find it in nekwane. Osi kwani bonye nka. Ukwu kula maka. Onye maka geje kulu mkwanu ku. But sometimes you're right. Somebody here suggested it some time ago that we need to start writing again. Yes, we need to start writing again, writing to the people that are put in positions of authority. They might look like they would ignore it, but when it's called open letter, or just private, sometimes it's open. It's in a tweet or Facebook, open letter to this person, open letter to that person. There's somebody that used to come, that comes to our space sometimes. Personally, that he has written a number of times to Governor Peter Mba. But on our WhatsApp on more use anything you have. We have to get to talk to these people. Let's drive that balance between the ice and the boiling water so that we can get to a point where we can easily communicate. The more we communicate with them, the more we know their challenges. And also, the more they understand that it's no longer business as usual. Because Ika Priscilla, want them, I round up.
It's been an amazing day today, and different forms of ideas. Oku ketat otron pieces, and it's been amazing just listening. Again, it always starts with conversations. However, I would like to endeavor that while we are looking forward to reaching out, let's also look forward to reaching inside. Inwards, some kind of self-reflection, and ask yourself, are you leading the way? Are you becoming some form of a leader? And again, Nigerian version of leadership is not home namna achi, or see me or I die, or notice me or I faint, all those kind of stuff. No. Or in your locale, in your community, in your place of work, can any form of problem solving be accredited to your name? Even if it's to move a motion for the cars in the office to be fixed, can you boast of that? In your compound, all your neighbors, binanigi, or something, or in your estate, or there's a problem that bothers you. Can you stand up tomorrow and say, I will figure out how to solve this problem, and I will solve this problem? Any nabros or Aso Rock, any nabros or government house. Always, most of the challenges around you affect the quality of your life. And some people will be born today and die tomorrow and will never get to Aso Rock or government house. And it's okay. All 200 million people cannot reach there. But you see that your streets, that gutter that produces the mosquitoes that was chasing you out of your house, that have made you double the mosquito net in your house. What are you doing about it? The dirt in front of your estate, what are you doing about it? The noise in your locale, what are you doing about it? Just pick something, and use that to empower yourself and be, that citizen that Nigeria is calling to obey. Right? Amazing ideas have been dropped so far, but most of these ideas we're looking from the inside out. Who are you seeing? Who are we projecting? But I think that let's all reflect. Everybody has the opportunity or the chance to be the leader that everyone can be. But if we all, division of labor, I do my own, you do your own, imezie your street mbịa na nke gị ngafe ọ ga-adịrị m mma mmezie kem ịbịa ọ ga-adịrị gị mma onye ọbụla emecha nke ha ndị ahụ small little way obodo ga-adị mma. And now that being said, again, Afamu Priscilla Amadi, your service culture evangelist, and it's been interesting listening to everyone here today. Okay.
Yes, my brother.
Adịka gị na ndị Japan na
oge ọbụla m kwekwana ara Mike kwuo okwu. Anyway, thank you so much for yet another beautiful segment. I like him not this topic I put today because it reminds each and every one of us of very important at the end of the day. And if I need maybe, you know, as a society in Nigeria, you move why na they quite aesthetic on about the imago vanishing things in make your sense. You know, so this kind of opens our eyes, and that I'm happy that this space they recorded. So that anybody be across it would listen, realize, maybe I've not been picking my leadership correctly. You know, maybe next time, I tackle kind of the topic of what we should look out for, how we should be, our responsibilities as followers, so that at the end of the day we can have a balanced how do I say? A balanced
conversation.
System. Yeah, a balanced system of leadership in Igbo especially. So thank you so much once again, and thank you for your hanging out with us for so long. How many hours? 3 hours. Yeah, now. So you are well appreciated. Thank you, and everybody share the room. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you very much, my sister. This brings us to the end of this beautiful conversation. Honestly, I have enjoyed myself. I believe you thoroughly enjoyed yourself as well. This is the MONI show, maka ọdịmma ndị Igbo. Ebe anyị na-akpa nkata maka ọganiru ka anyị esi dozie ebe anyị. Ọ ife anyị na-alụ. Anyị na-eme ya etu a every Saturday, 8 p.m. till 11. Ọ nakatazi ọ gafere obele. We try to tie it to 3 hours. That's how we do it. I thank you very much, everyone who brought their contributions to this conversation. Thank you for taking out your time to stay with us and dive into the meat of this and bring your knowledge and your wisdom and your wisdom. Also, to those who shared this space, from the build up to even while we were having this conversation, you kept pushing it out for people to know that we're having this conversation. And even those who invite people to join them while they are listening on this conversation, I know we are aware that people sometimes have their family or their friends around listening with them while we're talking, and that makes a huge difference for us. It means a lot to us. I also want to say thank you to Madam Ngozibella, doing a great job with the live stream team and behind the scene, helping us with the live stream. And thank you again to you out there listening to us, taking your time to be part of this conversation. Your time means a lot to us, and your listenership means a lot to us. If you want people to get to follow what we're doing, it will make sense for you to actually go to our YouTube and pick this video, share the link with people. It's live streamed on YouTube. You can share the link with people who would like to listen to this conversation. Then in the next 48 hours, we'll have a post-production of this same, and then we'll put it on YouTube. It will be easier. That one is easier to listen to as well, just to make it more, fine-tune it, make it more palatable. And I'd like to ask you all, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to our channel. Just subscribe with us so you know whenever we have a new video uploaded, and you can also share with people around you. Also help us with Facebook. I'm going to be on Facebook. We want to have a number of followers on Facebook before we can do certain things there. And we're restrictions until you have a number of followers. So please do us this favor. Go to Facebook. Kunye Media Official is the page. Just go there, follow us, like it. It will help us to be able to do more so we can make more impact with this conversation. And we are doing our best to expand it. We want to get to the point where people can just press their phone and look at the website, kunyemedia.com or themonishow.com, and just listen to what's going on without going to social media. Just press a button and they are listening to an audio that doesn't take a lot of their data. We're getting to that point so that we can reach as many people as possible, because that's the aim of this whole thing. So like I said, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, and please share this space, this particular space we just had now. Share it. Some people like to listen to recorded spaces. We noticed that after this the space is over, within 24 hours, you have a lot of listening. So just share it to people who you think should be part of this to hear what we discussed and learn one or two things, and maybe see how they can come in and contribute the next time. Yes, I'll come in. Till next Saturday, 8 p.m. Nigerian time. Agazelu no. It's
the morning show.